New owner for American Pinball. New American Pinball to reimagine Bally Williams games. Interview with Gary Stern and John Buscaglia. Interview with Kevin Waite from Classic Playfield Reproductions.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Houston. I'm the editor of Pinball Magazine, and I'm joined by...
I'm Martin Ebb, I'm the editor of Pinball News, and Jonathan and I are here to look back at all the excitement through the pinball world throughout the month of January 2026 in our very latest edition of the Pinball Industry News PINcast. And it's been a busy old month, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, there's quite a bit of news. No new games.
Contrary to expectations.
We'll talk about. Yeah, correct. But the news that there is a new owner for American Pinball is something that I didn't see coming. Although we knew the company wasn't doing that great, but I had no idea it was available for sale. So let's start with that, and then we go through the other companies as well.
Okay. Well, so American Pinball, the company, and all its assets have apparently been sold by previous owners Aimtron, who established it, and has been sold to J.B. Vincent, a private investment company which is based in San Angelo, in Texas.
Which is really in the middle
of nowhere. We were just
having
a look at that to see whether we could pay them a visit, but they're right out on the far west side of the state. So anyway, it's run by Brian Vincent, and he's been speaking on various outlets, including podcasts and also on Pinside as well, which is good, about his plans for the company.
And, great interview he did with Kerry Hardy, or as you say, Kerry Hardy did a great interview with him.
So his plans include keeping design and manufacturing of games at the Palatine facility in Illinois, on the outskirts of Chicago, but which is one that they share with the previous owners, Aimtron. Not sure how that's going to work out, but I think it seemed to be a very amicable sale and no bitterness or anything about that, about having to sell the company. I think it seemed to be a friendly takeover.
No. Yeah, well, I assume they're just leasing the space from Aimtron, so there has to be a good...
Yes, and of course they're also buying the boards for the games from Aimtron as well, the circuit boards.
Yes.
So that deal is continuing, at least for the immediate future.
So who is this Brian?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, he made his money in LED lighting, and is also apparently a long-time pinball fan, which is a good start. And in the interview, he said they're all, in fact, on Pinside, he said they're already working on securing licenses for upcoming games, and sees rebuilding trust in American Pinball as a priority, which certainly is a very positive way to start. I think that's something which has been an issue with potential customers and existing customers as well. He said we are planning one title this year and 1 to 2 titles in each year going forward after the first game. So ambitious plans.
Right.
But those who are wondering how he's going to be able to produce that many new designs each year were quickly informed of that when 11 days after that announcement of the purchase, the company also revealed that they have a deal with Planetary Pinball to license 7 of the classic Bally Williams titles and make reimagined or remake versions of them, which kind of puts them alongside Pedretti Gaming and Chicago Gaming in remaking Williams Bally titles.
Right.
It's not clear exactly how much reimagining it's going to involve, whether it's going to be remaking them with sort of modern technology like Chicago Gaming do, with Medieval Madness, Attack from Mars, and Monster Bash, and Cactus Canyon, but basically keeping the game the same. but adding dot matrix display out, taking dot matrix out
No,
and turning it into an LCD, putting LED lighting all throughout and enhancing that and RGB lighting everywhere, or whether they're going to completely change how the game is designed and how it plays.
right. We also don't know who is going to be programming those games because I don't think there's that many programmers left at American Pinball.
No,
Although they did release an update for Galactic Tank Force not
that's
that long
true.
ago.
I think that was actually done by the team in their spare time. As a sort of passion project. I know that that's something
Right.
which David Fick said when he left the company that they were going to carry on working on it in the background, and along with it was with the company's blessing, and they would release the updated version that gives it the features that they always intended. But also, what we also don't know is which the titles are going to be. So they've apparently licensed 7 titles, but we don't know how old they are, and
Yes.
presumably they're not ones which have already been licensed by anybody else. So,
Well, I suppose that's part of the strategy also for Planetary. You don't want to have 2 different manufacturers producing the same title. I can understand that you want a certain exclusivity if you license a certain title. And well, the interesting thing is, it's easy to take things the wrong way, in the sense that when they are saying that they have been working on securing licenses for upcoming games, you might tend to think that they're going after a movie license or something. But in this case, turns out to be licensing already existing games, which should, in theory, make it easier to reproduce them, in the sense that you get all the drawings for the bill of
yes,
material, so you know what you need. But that doesn't mean that you actually have the parts available yet, because you need to find vendors for all these parts as
yes,
well.
that's right. And
And that,
another thing I was going to mention was that if you are if you look at what's already been reproduced, so things like Funhouse, Medieval Madness, Attack from Mars, Cactus Canyon.
Monster
Well, I wasn't
Bash,
going to include Monster Bash because I was going to say those are all unlicensed titles. So,
right?
although they've been licensed from Planetary Pinball, they don't include licensed assets. Monster Bash different, it's got Universal Monsters in it, so that's another license that has to be negotiated. But it kind of
Right.
limits, in a way, some of the titles you might want to go for. You wanted to do, I don't know, Twilight Zone, for instance, which is one which Chicago Gaming are rumored to be working on. Then obviously you have to license Twilight Zone from whoever the owners of that
Right.
are now.
Right. And the music as well from Golden
Yes, that's
Earring,
right.
and yada
Yeah,
yada yada.
yes, indeed.
Although I still, well, if it's a reimagined game, I suppose all contracts are void and you have to renegotiate everything.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's reimagined. It may not be using the same assets at all, or it could just be.
That could
Could
also
be
be the
you take
case,
something which
yes.
is a license and you reimagine it into an unlicensed version. It's possible.
I can't imagine.
But anyway, we'll wait to see exactly what they come up with for that. But interesting that they seem to be proceeding at a pace over American Pinball after basically being just treading water for the past couple of years, really, and not really producing anything much other than selling off existing
Right.
stock. So, yeah, we wish them the best of luck, and we will bring you more news on the company as and when we hear it.
Right. Yeah. So, but all in all, um, positive
Definitely.
news for the hobby, for the industry. Very optimistic timeline, in my opinion, my humble opinion. Um, Understanding that the aim is to have their first game available to be played at Pinball Expo. So that doesn't mean it's on the production line yet, but probably a prototype. Still very ambitious, I'd say. Even if it is a reimagined game, but Oh well. We've seen in the past that it's hard to start a pinball company, and if you buy a pinball company, it doesn't make it any easier, I suppose. Although you do have some parts of the
Yeah, it
stuff,
comes
but
with a
not
certain amount of
everything.
assets, and you've already got your board set lined up. You've already got your cabinet designed, manufacturing arranged, and playfield cutting and all that stuff. So, and a certain amount of stock. But yeah, you're right. It's if they can do it, then and if anybody could do it, American Pinball could do it. Can you remember how quickly they managed to get a Houdini game into production? After showing
Right.
the John Popaduke version at Pinball Expo, within 6 months they had Joe Balsa's version on the line.
Right. Yeah. Right. So, oh well.
Good luck.
I wish them the best of luck, indeed. If you want to hear more from Brian Vincent himself, I do recommend the earlier mentioned interview that he did with Kerry Harder. Look that up on YouTube, and that might answer a lot of questions for you.
Very good. Right, moving on to a company which is producing a new game sooner than that, but not as soon as we thought. And that is called Stern Pinball.
Right.
And there was no cornerstone game announced, which we were expecting to be able to bring you the full details of in this month's PINcast. But in previous years, that game would have been announced shortly before the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas.
In Las
beginning
Vegas.
of January, and shown there, and then shown at EAG Expo in London for the European market the week after. But that didn't happen.
Right.
No new announcement at all. So, yeah, we were.
We did. Well, we were at EAG, and we did talk to a couple of employees from Stern who were present, which we'll get into in a second. But on this subject of the new game, I understood it's basically licensing approvals that have not been approved yet, causing delays. But that could also mean if something is not approved, and that could be related to a mechanism on the game or something else, that they have to redesign part of the game.
Yes, could be. Yeah.
Pure speculation, but I'm just
well,
saying.
on what we do know is that the game is going to be launched soon.
Yes.
Let's cut to the chase. We believe it's going to be Pokemon. There's no confirmation of that on any social media from Stern or internal or external facing publicity yet.
Yes, widely rumored, and also heavily rumored to be a Jack Danger design to be finished by George Gomez, because Jack Danger got another position.
Yes, that's right, doing their social media and streaming and stuff. But anyway, what we do know is that they're going to be holding an media open house at Stern Pinball on Wednesday, the 11th of February, where they will be showing off this new game. Now, we were obviously both invited, and unfortunately,
no plane tickets included in that.
Yes,
invite,
an invitation and meals and chances to interview various members of the team and get some obviously good pictures and video of the game itself. But unfortunately, we can't make it, can we? Or at least I can't.
No, and I would be surprised if we manage to get action, because we ask every time, and it's like, yeah, sure, we can make sure that the team is available for questions through Teams or Zoom or what have you. And in the end, it never works out.
No.
So I'll put in my request once again to see if we can have an interview with the lead designer or other members of the design team about this game, which either would be Jack Danger or George Gomez. And it would be great to have George Gomez come on our show. I don't think he's ever been there. So it's about time, George. But so far, these requests have all been received with a very positive response, and then we never got an appointment.
Oh well, I'm sure they're very busy this time of a launch. But what we do know is
Yeah,
that, as I say, first of all, the media open house is on the 11th of February. But according to the social media publicity for the Texas Pinball Festival, they will be the first public showing of the game. Now, that Texas Pinball Festival is about 5 weeks later than the open house.
yes.
So, what's going to happen in those 5 weeks? That's what we're wondering. Is presumably
Yeah.
going to launch the game around about or very soon after the open house on the 11th.
Usually 2 days after, something
Right.
like that.
So basically, we've got 4 weeks or
Probably,
more between that and anybody actually seeing the game.
yeah. Well, there could be two explanations.
Ooh.
One could be there's no other big show in between those in that period, because the Pinball at the Beach Festival will just have finished once the game is
Mhm.
announced. So that already took place, so you can't show it there. And if the next show on the calendar is Texas Pinball, then that is the next show. That doesn't mean that the game will not be available any sooner. But that's also speculation.
Well, they're
We don't
saying that
know.
the first public showing of it, and if it's that kind of implies that it won't be available to play publicly elsewhere.
Right. Well, we'll just have to wait and see how that turns out. I'm also curious whether, let's say, so the media gets a chance to see the game and play it on the 11th of February. Let's say they get 2 days to prepare their articles and videos and what have you. So on the 13th of February or the 14th, well, that's Valentine's Day, would
Saturday,
be a
yeah.
good day to launch a Pokemon. Yeah. So so the 12th or the 13th,
13th would be reasonable.
you get a public reveal. It would be very odd if there would not be any gameplay until Texas Pinball Festival, when people get the chance to play it themselves and film it themselves.
Yeah. Oh well. I'm sure there's a plan worked out. But this delay.
Well, the plan could be sell as many before people see how it plays.
Well, yes, certainly seems brilliant people who are predicting it's going to be a smash hit.
I mean, it is Pokemon. It's not everybody's cup of tea.
Well, it's not mine, that's for sure. But certainly,
my money is safe.
There seems to be plenty of people who are very excited by the theme, if that is indeed what it is.
Yes. Well, it's an interesting demographic because, generally speaking, I like to think that this is a younger audience that might not be that very familiar with Pokemon. I believe Pokemon is actually having its 30th anniversary this year,
yes.
if I'm not mistaken. And so we're talking about kids in their mid 30s to early 40s, who grew up with Pokemon, the cartoon series that is, and then later on you got the Pokemon Go games and what have you, which turned out to be a great hype. I still don't see that many of them buying pinball machines, but it could be a great game for to operate on location, because it still resonates with a lot of people, and it might attract a completely new audience to pinball. So in that sense, it could be a very interesting.
Yeah, and also if the gameplay and the design is suitably interesting, and let's face it, with Jack Danger and George Gomez both working on it, there's every chance that it's going to have a fascinating and well shooting playfield. It could overcome that license anyway, and just sell itself on gameplay. We've seen that happen in the past.
Right. Yeah, with movies that completely sucked.
Yeah, I mean, look at The Shadow and I'd say Demolition Man to an extent, although I didn't think that was such an awful movie. But Congo, there you go. Congo's a great game.
I love that movie.
Congo? Oh, Demolition
No,
Man. Oh, yeah.
Demolition Man.
I agree. Yeah. Anyway, we're digressing. We were talking earlier about EAG Expo and the fact there wasn't a new Stern Cornerstone game there. What they did have was 5 machines that were on the Electrocoin stand. They had. I'm trying to work out what they did have. They had Venom, James Bond, Uncanny X-Men, Dungeons and Dragons, and the Walking Dead remastered. Of course, they didn't have Star Wars: Fall of the Empire because that's not available to buy in Europe. And that contrasts with what they had at the CES show in Vegas the week before, where they had Walking Dead remastered, Dungeons and Dragons, the Uncanny X-Men, 2 of the Star Wars: Fall of the Empire on one row of the stand, and another Walking Dead and another Star Wars Walking Dead remastered, and another Star Wars on another side, with a C3PO actor walking around in full gear. They did 4 Drinks with Jack interviews with our friend who we haven't interviewed yet, George Gomez, Seth Davis and Gary Stern together, Brian, Eddie, Elliot Eisman, and Keith Elwin together, and as game designers, and Zombie Yeti, Chuck Ernst, and Stephen Martin as artists. So they had quite a presence at CES, but say much reduced in their display at EAG, where it's on the Electrocoin stand with 5 older titles. Although for many people it was the first chance for them to play The Walking Dead remastered, but they didn't get a chance to play Star Wars. However, if you're in the UK and you want to play Star Wars, I can give a little hint that it's actually available to play at Pinball Republic in Croydon in London. So you're not frozen out. Little Star Wars joke there. Frozen out completely. You can still play it in the UK. Anyway, while we were there, we had a chance to sit down, as we often do, with Gary Stern, and this time he was joined by John Buscaglia. And you may remember that. Yeah, you may remember we mentioned before that Stern Pinball are opening a new European sales office in Amsterdam, which is going to be headed up by John Buscaglia. So obviously,
right. If he finds
yes,
a place,
that's right. Yeah, so we want to talk to them obviously about that, what they hope to achieve from the new office, what the scope that it's going to be, how it fits in with their other European sales promotions, the issues with licensing, seeing as Star Wars wasn't there. And I'll give you a little clue here that Gary admits that they made a mistake with the Star Wars licensing and vows that they won't allow that to ever happen again. And talk about much more about what's going on at Stern Pinball, along with a couple of what's cooking with. And
well, so let me chime in here. To explain to our listeners the situation. So this is a trade show. We've been there all day at the somewhere in around 2:30. Gary Stern and John Buscaglia showed up. They've been in meetings in a special area upstairs, and I asked whether they would be available for an interview, and they were. So I texted Martin, who was also at the show, but he was just recording his infamous walkthrough.
Yes.
So I didn't get a response from Martin because he's filming and he can't answer his phone because he's walking through the entire show, which takes up an hour.
Yeah, but for that 30 minutes for that show, it's not too big. But yeah, right. I couldn't answer.
So anyway, what happened is I went upstairs with Gary and John, and well, obviously they had plans of their own, so we did not wait for Martin to show up, but we started off with a little chit chat and so on, and before you know it, basically everything being said is pure gold, and we intend to use it. So you're going to get basically the whole conversation that went on up to the point where Martin's walking in. I might edit that a little bit, and then we do the interview as we normally would do. But by that time, I already had 2 recipes coming from Gary and from John. So it would be a pity not to share these with you. So enjoy my conversation and Martin's with Gary Stern and John Biscaglia of Stern Pinball.
We didn't come here to talk about that. We came here to talk about that.
Don't say Insider Connected.
Insider Connect.
No, don't say the word.
It's the future.
Why
it's
is
the
that?
future.
Why? I honestly don't. Did you find your buddy?
No, I texted him. We're in Room 7, and it's up to him to come up whenever he feels it, whenever he's available.
Because we're going to talk, and then I'm going to go take a nap before having to go to the next event. So, should we talk about recipes again, or something like that?
Well, that's for John. We discussed your recipe.
I got some great recipes.
Yeah.
No. I gave them the new cook.
Oh God.
The chicken
legs.
legs.
Did you see what we did with that?
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah.
We actually printed that in the Texas Pinball Festival guide.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. We put
it works.
Cook's hat on you.
Yeah, it works. It really works.
It's
you know, all you need is a microwave.
Right.
Yeah, I had lived in a townhouse, and so it had a stove with a microwave, and I had a microwave from before. Had a Gen Air grill, the stove with a microwave. So steak, potatoes, and vegetables. The steak goes to defrost for 5 minutes. You throw it on the grill for 5 minutes, flip-flop, and at the same time the baked potatoes are in one of the microwaves. The other one, of course, has the vegetables for 5 minutes, and 10 minutes you got the whole thing.
All you need is an air fryer. Air fryer make that baked potato crispy.
I have an air fryer now, but I don't know how to work it. Babbage gave it to me. I said, no, I can't have an air fryer. Everything's white in my kitchen. So we found a white air fryer, and I have it. It's a big toaster, an air fryer.
But it works nicely.
I don't know. I got a little toaster that I use on top of it. I never used the new one. I think my kids might have used it. So that tells you all about pinball and what we're doing. That wraps this up. Thank you. This is the wrap. And,
very nice being there. Actually, if you want an easy, quick recipe, I can tell you what. It's my version of Italian wedding soup. Right?
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
And it's very, very simple.
Yeah.
First thing you do is you take a little olive oil and you fry up. You crush garlic, and I use a lot. I'll use at least 10 cloves.
Okay.
So you fry that up. And then you take a cup of chicken broth.
Yeah.
And when the garlic starts to get brown, you throw the cup of chicken broth in there and you cook it down. It almost becomes like a little bit of a juice, right?
Okay.
And then you throw a little bit more chicken broth in on top. You have the extra flavor. And then what you do is you throw in, I use spinach, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, I use a lot of spinach, but you use a good amount of spinach, at least 2 or 3 cups of spinach. Yeah. I'll throw the spinach in there, and then I use basically any bean. You can use anything, but the best bean is a northern Italian, cannelloni type bean. You wash those off, obviously. You throw 1 can of that in there.
Yeah.
And then what you do is if you have leftover tomato sauce, 2 tablespoons of that. If you don't, you can put a little bit of tomato paste in there just to add a little bit of that particular flavor. And then you can either, cook a little bit of elbow macaroni on the side or whatever you want to do. Throw that into that. And then if you really want to get crazy, you buy some, meatballs on the side. Like, I used actually meatless meatballs.
Yeah,
and you cook those up. You put them in the broiler or you can even put them in the microwave. 5 or 6 meatballs, stick it in with the you have the broth, right? The juice broth, then the extra cup of broth, then you have the spinach in there, you've got the cannelloni beans, you throw in the meatballs, and then you make sure you salt and pepper it to taste. But the key is you buy the best Reggiano Parmesan cheese, and you do a lot of it.
Yeah.
And then when that thing's served up, you put the Parmesan cheese complete the whole top, and you have an amazing Italian wedding suit.
Okay, so this starts with garlic, a lot of garlic.
A lot of garlic.
And this explains John's dating life.
100%. But my kid, the good news is my kids all smell like me. Hey, Martin.
Hi, Martin. Yeah, you're late. We're almost done.
You knew what I was doing, and I saw you. Good to see you, John.
So tell me, what have you
Wow.
what have you seen here? What's been exciting?
Not much.
The show? No.
Pretty disappointing show, I'd say.
Think so? Well,
yeah, I
let's
think
see.
so.
We got cranes.
I always got cranes.
No, cranes are much more popular today. You know, there's a trend. In America, we have
The rest stops.
crane arcades. No, not rest stop. People are opening crane arcades. They're just cranes.
You know why?
Well,
Because it's easy to operate, because you don't need anybody there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
That's
it
right.
makes a load of money.
Eunice is very big on their brand of crane and
do they brand them with a theme?
They,
You know,
Eunice has some theme on them. I can't remember what it is. You'll have to look into it. But
Yeah.
cranes are a big trend in operating in America. And crane arcades, nothing but cranes in them. Nothing but cranes, and it's a little bit different than in Japan, where they're you got cranes with toilet paper in them and cranes with a little plastic kinky sex dolls or whatever they are. All kinds of different stuff in Japan.
You need to go to Japan, Jonathan.
But, and all
I hear.
Yeah, well, it's not to run low on toilet paper.
I'm learning new stuff here.
And all the Chinese stuff. Well, you see, he knows all this because he knows what's going on in the market. But all the Chinese game. First of all, Chinese stuff is cheap, and it's disruptive to the game business right now. Here, a $5,000-$6,000 driver versus a $15,000-$25,000 American driver.
In the arcade,
very
maybe people don't make that differentiation the same way that those in the industry would.
Yeah.
They say it's a driving game, but it's not Daytona.
They're getting better. They're getting better, though. They are getting better, and they're getting more reliable. The reliability is still the answer to things.
So we have a lot to talk about here. Because
I thought all we're really going to talk about.
We already talked about it already.
No. I'll catch you up. Connected. That's all. That's
what you want to talk about.
So I told Gary not to talk about Insider Connected for a change.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure that's possible.
Work.
That's built into your DNA now.
I really don't understand why anybody, especially operating a game, would operate a game that's not connected, because connected, it gives you so much information to it. And now with home
leaderboards,
the home leaderboards, with the all access and the home leaderboards.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about all of that.
But I am interested in the sheer amount of data you must be getting from these Insider Connected games.
You're absolutely
now, what on earth are you going to do with all that? You must have to throw away 90% of it. From your real business,
yes, that the whole thing of connectivity is two-way street. And the data that we get to better games, to see where they're earning money, to see when they're being played, and so forth. And we have hundreds of thousands of people playing on Insider Connected now.
Of course, but the vast majority of that data must be useless to you. I mean, there's gold in there. It's like gold prospecting, isn't it? There are a few little nuggets in there which are really good.
It's not that it's useless. It's
For now,
prospecting it. There's so much that you have to set up systems to retrieve it all. But Seth is on top of all that, and with Erica, who's our CTO, who worked on creating when she had a separate company, they created Insider Connected. They're mining some of it, already. They have been mining some, and they're. But your point is right. It's a two-way street.
But you can drill down to specific instances of that data. If you want to know how long a particular game is played for
Yep.
in a particular location. You can
Yeah.
get that information,
Oh, yeah.
or in all that type of location.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, you can get it, but
Yeah.
on the other hand, how many times do you actually need to know that?
Well, there's some of it that is helpful, and
Yes.
some of it could be helpful if you could figure out how to get it or how to use it.
Right. But there's also, I mean, all the data from people playing at home
Yeah.
is basically useless in the sense that
No.
if you want to find out more about what's
No.
being played on location,
No,
That's
but
just-
what's playing at home is the 70% of our games are at home. That's 70% of our play is on the street, and 70% of our games are at home, and that we know because why? Data. We know that, so it's
and you can compare to how games play in the home
That's
to
true.
how they play in location.
That's true.
And how
There's
they're
all
set
kinds
up
of stuff
as well.
And,
There's a lot of information you can get.
Designers can see what features are being made, and I mean, there's just
It's a very different
so
way of playing the games than when you're playing them at home to when you're actually paying to play the game.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
It's something about paying for things that
People have an expectation
Yeah.
when they're paying for something as opposed to they've already paid for it and now it's in their home.
It's not usual to dislike your first ball and restart the game if you're paying in a pub to play it. Yeah.
Right, but we are here with John Biscaglia.
I was going to say I do apologize to
I
our
can leave
listeners
now.
for this slight detour.
I'm not really part of this. I can leave now.
Oh, no.
No, you are part of this.
Definitely are.
Yeah. But, just to catch up Martin, John Biscaglia just shared a delicious recipe with us
Oh, fantastic.
for
Okay.
what's cooking with John Biscaglia.
And what's the dish?
It's Italian wedding soup. My version of it, my single man version of it.
Vegan.
Actually, no. I've crossed.
He
He crossed the border when he started adding chicken soup. Chicken broth.
Well, you can use vegetable broth and make it vegan.
Yes.
But I made the commitment that if and when I ever have the opportunity to live and visit Europe, that I'm going to be moving away from my vegan diet, which I have done.
I've seen him eat meat. I've seen him eat meat.
No, and
It was ugly, but I saw it.
That's the end of this interview.
but I had this conversation with my daughter, a long conversation about it, is that the one thing when I was vegan diet for 4 years, the one thing is that people start to associate your identity with the fact that you're a vegan. And the one thing that I never really liked is for people to associate, me with an identity that wasn't. Like, I'm a huge animal activist, and I love animals, and I care deeply about them, and I'm a huge supporter of the humane treatment of food processing, which is one of the reasons why I became a vegan. But what happened is that you all of a sudden become invisible with regards to going out to dinner and ordering, and nobody even notices. And then all of a sudden you go out to a business dinner or whatever, and you say
Nobody notices. Everybody notices.
no, if you're not a vegan. I'm saying people just eat, right?
Yeah.
But when you go out to a business dinner and you're at Gibson Steakhouse and everybody goes around, I'll share the 55,000 pound thing with Gary, and then they come to me and it's like, we'll have a baked potato and some mushrooms on the side, and everybody stops talking. And they're like, what are you having?
And the reason is because as a vegan, all he ate was carbs.
Carbs. No, it just shocks people. So one of the things I'm really trying to do is I don't eat a lot of meat, and if any. Now, if it's a specialty to a culture, like for example, I was with a gentleman in Austria in the boonies in Austria, and we went out to his special local restaurant, and they had meals that I've never even heard of before, but he culturally said, this is from our region, and you have to try this, and you have to try that, and they brought a soup with the stuff in it.
Thank God you haven't been to Africa yet.
Right. And honestly, it was very uncomfortable for me to say, oh, I can't eat any of that, I'm a vegan. So that's what got me actually off of being as disciplined to saying, I'm a vegan and this is a part of my lifestyle. Because being a vegan was really more part of me just supporting the humane treatment of animals. But humans and their culture and them wanting for you to be a part of it by exposing it to you was something that I'm also very passionate about, and that kind of started to break me down and introduce me back to eating meat.
Okay, I can understand
All right,
that. But that's not why we're here.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
Should we go back to
enough with the
Should
detour.
we go back to Insider Connected?
No, we're here to talk about the establishment of your European office now in Amsterdam.
Yes.
And has that happened yet?
No, it hasn't happened. I've spent several trips visiting Amsterdam, and first of all, I would start with this scenario. I came to Gary, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and when they hired me, originally
That was more than 6, 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was 2012.
Well, I mean, 2000. But when they hired me, I had the ability, which was wonderful, to get involved with setting up a distribution channel. That was we called it the Harley type model,
Right.
And we set up dealers, and we took a lot of what the Harley dealers were doing at that time with showrooms and the way that they sold and accessories and all that stuff. And I had that in my prior background to a certain extent, and it was fantastic. It was wonderful. We were a small little organization. I had 2 or 3 people reporting to me, and it was great. It was a very small business, and we grew and we grew and we grew. And it got to the point where I had, over 60 people reporting to me with all these different areas. And we sat down as an organization saying, okay, how do we now organize so that we can be as efficient and as effective as possible in order to continue to sustain this growth? So we very selectively brought in some, very high-skilled individuals to help the organization, such as Seth, and then we brought in, a marketing guy from WWE, Matthew, and Activision, and we brought in Erica, who had a huge background. So all of these different areas started to, move away from me, right? And where I was just focusing on sales initially and setting up the distribution channel, I started setting up, working with the tech support and building out Pat's department. I started working with the PAM division and building out accessories and parts and hiring up staff. I built the logistics department that used to just be Shelley. It became so large and it became so overwhelming, honestly, that, I went to Gary and I said, hey, Gary, listen, if we ever have the opportunity someday where we are able to split these departments out, I said, it's always been a dream of mine to live in Europe and to work in Europe.
Okay.
And I applied for dual citizenship years ago to be Italian dual citizen. And I wasn't able to. I went through this big process and even went down to Miami to try to make this happen. Because I have family that are still here in Europe, still in northern Italy, and I have a huge passion. I got married.
I don't think you're generationally right.
My father was actualized before my grandfather came here as an Italian citizen. He got actualized before my father was born, so it disqualified me. So I wasn't able to get it.
Yeah, if your father was Italian, you'd be able to do it, but your grandfather doesn't work.
Well, that's right. That's right. And he was. My father was actually.
Enough with the detour.
Okay, but anyway, to make a long story short, so I said to Gary, Gary, listen, if we ever get to the point where the company grows, I would love, because this is what I'm passionate about, building distribution channels, and I'm good at it, and I get it, and I know it, and
at that time I said, because this was six years ago. I said something like, "No fucking way." then,
which she said.
No, we have changed our direction in the sense that, which John will explain in a minute, that we've had tremendous growth in America. Mm-hmm. We haven't had the similar growth here, and part of it is the systems that we set up that we are changing.
What kind of systems are you talking about?
So systems would be when you take a look at overall distribution, you have to look at your pricing structures. Mm-hmm. It all comes down to the 4 Ps, really, right? You have the products, which we do far better than anybody in the history of pinball, right? And then you have the price, and the pricing in Europe is different than the way that we price in the United States. Before
John joined, I explained to our European importers, distributor importers, that the growth area was the home business. Not just the enthusiasts, but the general public, the first-time buyer. And it took about 2 years, and they finally accepted that. And they used the model that they used in commercial, where they sold some games direct to operators. I wish they had done that with the consumer business. And they used jobbers in those days to augment, because you had so many operators that everybody had their own favorite to buy from. So some of our distributors went to sell direct and through jobbers or dealers, and some of them gave it all to dealers, which added, especially during COVID, too much margin. Yeah. So John came to the conclusion that the prices here were, in his research, when the buyer here, the end user, looked at, forgetting VAT, which is outrageous here, but that's another question, looked at our MSRP versus what games were being paid for American MSRP, that it was way out of line expensive here. So John went to can't control prices here, but went to encourage fairer pricing. It's elasticity of demand. Yeah.
So you start with that P, and then you start to build a playing field where you empower your distribution partners, to really take a look at the business in several ways. We have new first-time buyers, and we have the community, and certainly first-time buyers within the community, and we really put a laser focus on how we're gonna support each individual group. And some of it's done through marketing, whether it's investing in lead generation to get new first-time buyers, which in the United States, we've had tens of thousands of new-time leads that we were able to generate with incredibly high close rates. And the first-time buyers in the United States is at an all-time high as we continue to grow that out. Within the United States, our dealer business is growing at a very significant rate year after year after year, and it's a lot of the things that we've done to not just supplement and to support the community, which is huge for us through things like enthusiast trade shows. And in Europe, I'm going to place a major emphasis on clubs. Jonathan and I talked about that, which is also huge, and make sure we support it. And then in the United States, where me and a group of other people, created the Stern Army. Yeah. We want to also leverage that so that we're supporting the clubs as well as Insider Connected, and also taking a look in Europe at the locations that are doing well with pinball. So if you have a location that, let's say, has 4 games in it, I would like to know, who owns that location? What's the operator in that location? What condition are the games in? Are the games set up? Are they set up with Insider Connected? Do they have a leaderboard? And then start to really build out those locations and have those as seeds, and as well as continuing to grow and expand out the club business. And then the other thing that we're doing and that we're looking at is we've created a relationship, and it's not exclusive, but a relationship with the Dutch Pinball Museum, which they are going to they're going to get games first in Europe, and we're going to make sure that the games are expedited to get them the games, and we're going to be working with Gerard to do amazing things with live streams and introductions of the product, so that Europe's not always lagging behind. And, so with us taking a look at, making the games affordable, so where people can buy them, and then supporting the distribution channel with lead generation so that we can continue to attract not just new first-time consumers who are in the enthusiast world, but also people that aren't, new first-time buyers. Because in the United States, it's a little bit different here, I believe, because of the size of people's houses. When we get a first-time buyer, there's 50% opportunity or chance that they're going to buy a second, third, and fourth game. The reason we're building out the clubs over here, and I want to put a major focus on that, is because I want to create that same type of thing where we get that new first-time buyer and then connect them up with the club. So if they don't have the space in their house, they don't have a reason for not buying that second game. So we get them more involved in the clubs. Gary and I both are motorcycle riders. I'm very familiar with clubs, and we want to take a lot of the things that are that are fun, that work in what we're doing in locations in the United States, and really apply that to clubs to even add more oomph and excitement and power to generate that experience, that customer and consumer experience from the enthusiast level.
So what can clubs do then to contact you to become part of this?
Yeah, I say that one more time.
What can they do?
We've got a pinball club. We have 60, 70 machines there.
Yeah.
Okay, we get a lot of new Sterns in. But what can you do for us? To help us?
Yeah,
promote Stern games.
He's developing it. He's just learning about clubs and so forth. And what you can do is John Pascalia at SternPinball.com. Everybody load his email box up.
Do. If you're a club, please do reach out to me.
And then he's going to create a program.
But
what's that going to look like?
Okay, well, first of all, it would look like this. I would like for the experience to be, energized. I know that clubs do different things with regards to having events, tournaments. They're open certain days a week. You can,
Is your club an Army location?
I think it is. Certainly part of the IFPA Stern tour.
Yeah, but is it an Army location? Yes.
So what we can do with that club is if you break that club down and you can say, okay, what type of events can we do there? Well, we can certainly have tournaments. We can certainly have parties. We can certainly have
parties.
What's that?
Launch parties.
Yeah, we could have launch parties.
Yeah. But unofficially, that's the trouble.
Well, not just launch parties. Here's one of my other ideas.
He's talking about having support.
That's great.
But I'm also talking about if we have a pinball location, right? Maybe we can have a party there with a big corporation. Maybe one of the tech firms wants to do something as a Christmas party, and we can turn that club into a really fun, get a band in there or whatever if it works, and we can do other things. The main thing is to create as much excitement and energy within that club, around that club, so that we can expose as many people to pinball, not just maintain the people that we have that are currently in the club and enhance that experience, but also create new experiences through just creative thinking in terms of what that club can offer.
That's great. We already do a lot of that kind of stuff already, but we're looking to see what you can do to help us.
We can promote it,
that, but other clubs don't.
No.
We can promote it.
Yeah.
How
many clubs in the UK do you think?
Less than half a dozen.
Give or take half a dozen.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can.
Most of these are they the clubs with their own clubhouse with games in it, or are they clubs where people go from house to house?
No, they're all single locations.
Okay. There are clubs also
where members of the clubs bring their own machines to it.
Yeah.
And
of course, to my left is the expert on pinball clubs here. You are.
Well,
it refers to Marcel van Kessel, from the main organizer of the Dutch Pinball.
The Dutch Pinball Association has a very different model to the way that we operate. And most clubs operate, to be fair.
Yeah. I'll introduce you to the Dutch Pinball Association.
Oh, I'm really excited for all that stuff because I've always. And without getting into too much detail, I wasn't planning when I left Tops. I went back and, as you know the story, I got my master's in early childhood education and was enrolling in a doctorate program so that I could become a college professor and teach when these guys called me up. And the reason that I didn't pursue my PhD is because of the community aspect. And the company that I had worked for prior, as you know, as Tops, was a huge lifestyle brand with a massive community. And when you're doing something and you're working for a company like Stern or for Tops, the people that are involved in the hobby, just like you guys, right? We're not selling peanut butter here. And you're not even just selling fun.
We had Headhunter looking for somebody that had sales marketing, and brought us various people in Chicago that sold chemicals to Walgreens drugstores and they sold this and that. There was one person from outside of Chicago, and the resume said Topps, which is the trading card people. Yeah. And I said to my partner, never having met John, and I said, he'll be the one.
He's our guy.
Yeah. I mean, because we were doing collectibles in a sense. The LEs were collectible. Now we're way past the collectible business. We have a collectible aspect, but we're way past that. But that's, the sales marketing guys who ran sales forces that, sold to Walgreens or what have you, generic-ish products.
So at what point did you decide, okay, we've got to have a European office? Okay.
Within the last year.
Yeah.
And why?
Well, the main reason is that we reached the point in the organization where, I think two things have occurred. I think within our U.S. distribution, I personally, along with a few other people, I opened up Costco, which is it's one of the best marketing things that we've ever done. So many people have been exposed to pinball and are literally. I had a call from some guy who said, "I've now bought my 15th LE, and I started off with a Costco game." And it doesn't compete at all against our current distribution channel.
Gateway drug.
And the games they're the home units. They're under $5,000, and it's tremendous. Get people interested in the hobby and bring it over here. So we did Costco, right? And we brought in some amazing talent, from a marketing perspective and an IT perspective, and and again we brought in Seth to lead the organization, and
the numbers spoke. The numbers spoke, and the numbers were growing in America. And we've got a population of 300 million. And Europe has a population of 500 million, and we were not getting the growth here. So we're doing something wrong compared to what we're doing.
Yeah, and are those skill sets? Can I take what we've done in the United States and grow Europe? Because Europe is such a
adapting it, knowing that the Europeans are different than the Americans.
Well, they have so many different markets here, of course. Each with their own rules and regulations.
Each has their own language.
Well, I'm going to interrupt him for a minute. He recognizes and points out that America and Europe are different. They have population. There's certainly we follow each other in styles and so forth. Not only are America and Europe different, but each country he has to deal with is different. You sell a car in France and you talk about the quality of the leather. You sell a car in Germany, you talk about the motor and the horsepower and this or that. There's differences of how he's going to attract it to different countries. Nonetheless, Europe is one market with differences, but it's one market. Versus America is a different market.
Right. And also, you have one thing in common. You have incredibly passionate consumers that are involved in a community that tie people together. If you take a look at the base of who likes pinball, who is an enthusiast, or for whatever reason, a competitive player, that's a global piece. Finding out the best way to distribute the products to get as many people involved in our enthusiast community is something that you're going to have different tactics and different techniques to get there, which is what excites me about following and finding and learning what those tactics are. Yes, they're different. Certainly, in every country, they're different. In Asia, they're different. In Australia, they're different. In the U.S., they're different. In Canada, and they're different in Europe. And I'm extremely motivated and excited about learning about those different things, which I've already learned a tremendous amount about and have a lot further to go. So no, the way that we distribute products will not be a cookie cutter model of the United States, But the way that I work with the community and the way that we work with tactics to bring new people into the community, because as people would say, rising tides raise all ships. We want to grow out. We want more people involved in this, in what we are and what we have, which is the main reason why I'm still doing this, which is the main reason at my age why I even want to move to Europe, because I want to continue to have more people involved in this. Now, the one thing I say, and I know I'm rambling on here, but people that I've met in the community have a special connection to this. When I greeted people at Expo, and I greeted 1,200 people, I was the guy who met everybody.
At the parking lot with the Stern Tour, you were the first one to basically get everybody off the buses.
That's right. And the reason that I took that position to do that, everybody I met was just, they were thrilled, they were excited, they were motivated, they couldn't wait to see the experience. And that's what's different about our community. Pinball people are unbelievable. They're very, very good, gentle, loving people that love each other. And this is, I'm involved in a business helping to bring
they're not online.
When was the last time you saw a brawl at a Pinball Expo?
The last time Kaneda was there. Seriously. And that's a true story, by the way. But no, I mean, I love this community, and I'm very, very passionate about it.
Okay, so you decided to set up a European office. Why Amsterdam?
Well, first of all,
why not Italy?
I tried.
You tried Valencia?
Valencia. Rotterdam is one of the largest, if not, it's the second largest port in. So if someday this business grows,
I think I can best answer that with just corporate stuff. You look at companies that come here. They often go to Amsterdam. They got good ports, but they have good tax laws for corporations or companies. They have good. It's a normal place that you're going to go. It's got good airport transportation. So it's central, good. Central, good port, central. Not that we to ship it ourselves, but
so smart business wise.
Yeah, it's a business thing. So we actually a couple of years ago had commissioned a study of different ramifications of being in Germany and being in, which is a bigger market than Amsterdam or than Holland, and being in France and so forth. And the conclusion that you get from the business consultants is Netherlands.
Yeah,
okay. I'll take that feather over.
Plus Jonathan's there, so he can help me get around.
Yeah. So what's the first benefit that we as Stern Pinball players and collectors are going to feel from you having a European office?
Well, I think the first thing that I'd like to see is I'd like to see the prices of the games to the end users be more affordable. That's the first thing. And I'd like to see a more competitive market in the standpoint where we raise the bar in terms of, access to the community, enhancing the community, whether it's through clubs or locations or people's houses with leaderboards. I'd like to see the communication process greatly improve. That's why we're working programs like with the Dutch Pinball Museum, which is fantastic. And we would love to have other, whether it's clubs or other museums or whatever, in order to continue to build that out and to make the community much more, aware of each other. One of the guys that I'm friendly with who lives in Amsterdam, he happens to work for a guitar company. He's a director of European sales. And I asked him, I said, what are some of the challenges? What are some of the things that I should be...
They all know.
Are we talking about Nate?
Yeah. Nate, yeah. Nate. And Nate said, it's hard for me to connect to other people in the community because there's not as many locations to go play at. And
which goes back to the clubs.
Which goes back to the clubs. And he goes, I really miss it. I miss being in the United States and pretty much having something to do every night with pinball. And I would like to, make that more prevalent. I'd like to give people the opportunity to connect on a more frequent level and looking at all the different places, all the different ways that we can do that. But those are the things, strengthening the community, really focusing in on the enthusiast shows so that, in the United States, as you know, my God, we've done. When I got here 13 years ago, I was working with Mandeltort and Marco, and the shows were in little Holiday Inns with 45 games, and now they're in convention centers at Midwest Gaming Classic and Southern Fried. That show in Georgia used to be nothing, and I'm going to place the same level of focus and attention on building out the show programs that I did with Paul, and had an integral part with that. And we're already seeing some progress from some of the things that we're doing. So really giving people the chance to play more often, more frequently, and to connect with others in the community, and also giving consumers the opportunity to buy games at more affordable prices.
As you're talking about this, it sounds like we just made a decision yesterday. John hired somebody, Lloyd, in Europe a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So the process was that I said that we did research a few years ago as to where. Again, where's Nate located? You mentioned Nate.
Well,
He's in Amsterdam because that's where you go. Instead of Valencia or wherever it is. John did this great PowerPoint. It was really good of how he should move to Valencia, right?
Yeah.
And so what did Dave say to you?
So I did this amazing PowerPoint.
It was beautiful.
And Valencia is like a lot of startup gaming companies are going there. And the culture's, is very hip, and it's very vibrant. And it's the number 4 port city in Europe. And I did this amazing PowerPoint, and the owner of the company wrote back and said, looks like a great place to vacation. Maybe you can stop there when you're on vacation at the Amalfi Coast. You could stop at Valencia on your way to Lake Como.
But you're going to answer that.
So I didn't quite make Valencia, but maybe I'll make it for vacation.
But in comparing what you could do in Europe as to what you do in the US and the shows there, you obviously work very closely with Marco there.
Well,
and
he did.
Yeah, I know. But they were able to go to a whole bunch of shows across the country and set up impressive-looking Stern Pinball stands.
He doesn't work with them, or he stopped working with them.
Yeah, but
he took it over himself.
History. Okay, yeah. This is how you're able to have a very impressive presence.
So he'll develop
at
something.
These shows, but you haven't got that kind of single distributor or network here. In every country, going back to your distributor network, which you've been you've been pushing that for a long, long time, but it's kind of broken down a bit in the US in that it's not so segregated anymore as to where people can buy games from. They don't have to buy it from their state's distributor. They can buy games from you for a start.
Not really. We don't sell direct.
We sell a few. Every launch
only through
every game launch. There's a certain number available for
on
inside
on the LA for 2 minutes.
For 2 minutes for the
for the lucky few.
The people who are insider connected.
All access.
But the point is that it's a lot less segregated over there. The market, the distributor market over there, than it is in Europe, where. In like the UK, for instance, where we are now, there's one distributor.
UK is
you can't really buy a game from anywhere else.
Well, you buy from Phil.
Exactly.
You buy from Phil, but UK is unique in that it's not part of the European community, so it's got the genius of Brexit is
but if you're in France and you're probably going to buy it from the French distributor, if you're in Italy, you're going to buy it from the Italian distributor. You're not going to buy it from somebody in Belgium, probably.
Well, your European law with passive sales versus active sales pretty much is taken down. So we're listening to it having taken down. The restrictions, because there's no restrictions on passive sales.
No, but that's something which has kept prices artificially high over the years. Shall we say the lack of competition?
John has addressed that.
Yes,
we have addressed it. So there's going to be a lot more flexibility in how consumers purchase in the future. and we'll make some recommendations on what we think are margins that the consumers will be happy about, which basically will allow them to enter the consumer market, whether a first-time enthusiast buyer or first-time new buyer from somebody outside of the industry, at a more competitive price. And I'm going to be very, very watchful with the impact on what's the right level of price elasticity without, we can't control anything, but we can only make recommendations and such. But that's a big piece. So the consumer will have more flexibility where they can buy and who they can buy from, and the pricing will have some recommendations that we feel as a company are healthy for the market to continue to grow, or to grow at a rate that is acceptable for Stern.
On a slight technical aspect to that, which is probably not something you want people to do, but with the Spike 3 system, do you still have that 50 hertz, 60 hertz?
Yes, we do.
Check, you do. So
Yes,
you don't want people buying games from the US to bring them over here.
That's correct.
Okay, just checking.
Because we think that the market is better served. It's a whole different issue.
Oh, I know.
It's a different issue than being able to sell games all over Europe versus bringing games from a totally different market without a service organization at all behind it, and without there are different requirements in the EU for radio admissions and things like that than in the US. So the games that would be shipped from the US would not meet the standards. We use different standards for the US. So that it's a different issue than cross-country selling here versus bringing games from the US.
That's why I say it's a technical question.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people had that question when you introduced Spike 3.
Yeah.
Do you still do that?
Yeah, it still has that. But again, concerned with meeting the legalities.
Yeah, sure.
A bunch of games coming in here that aren't compliant would not serve pinball well. Whereas games coming from France to Germany or Germany to Italy does not have any of those kind of problems with it.
Okay. Now, since you're going to be focusing on growth in Europe, part of what I assume results in sales is theme choices and licenses. Does that mean that you might be focusing on licenses that are appealing to Europe more than the US?
We have in the past.
And how did that work out?
Worked out okay. I mean, Iron Maiden is not an American title. The band.
No, and James Bond is
well, James Bond's worldwide.
I know, but I'm saying in Europe,
it's a very good title. Most of the titles are very good for Europe. But Iron Maiden in particular is not such a popular band in America. Whereas here, I go to I was at a event in Belgium, and everybody was wearing Iron Maiden sweatshirts. That's just an example of picking a title that is better for Europe than for America.
Right. So obviously, you do a lot of Marvel licensed titles and so on. Is that more? Marvel is also worldwide, but maybe this is my personal perspective, but I sense it's bigger in America than it's in Europe.
I don't sense that.
Okay.
The movie statistics don't sense that. Those are international titles. You get Disney, Lucas, Star Wars, Marvel. They're pretty international.
Okay, on that topic,
Mickey Mouse is everywhere.
Yeah, obviously we don't have Star Wars for the Empire here.
True.
Can you tell us a little bit about why we don't have that?
They bisected the license And there are a few territories that we normally get that we thought we were going to get and we didn't. That won't happen again.
Why would it not happen again?
Because we're not going to allow that. We're not going to buy a title that we aren't sure that we have.
Oh, right. This was sprung on you then a bit.
Huh?
Was it? This was sprung on you. You weren't expecting this.
We weren't expecting it, and we expected that we would overcome it, and we did not.
So who got fired?
Is this,
I can't be fired.
is this something which you're seeing more? I mean, obviously, media companies are there's a lot of mergers going on in the media business with and movie studios as well, as we're seeing now with Paramount and Disney taking over Fox, and all these licenses are coming under different companies. Is that making it more complex from a licensing point of view, or is it actually making it easier because now you have fewer people to deal with?
I don't do licensing like I used to because I was direct. I did them a lot of them for a long period of time.
But you go to the shows. You go to the licensing shows. Don't you?
Actually, I don't anymore.
No?
Seth and Jody go. It doesn't need me to go there too. But having said that, not the mergers per se, but I'm just going to say that licensing is more difficult than it was.
Well, you have more competition now for a start.
Well, and not just that. The licensing divisions of these different media companies are. I mean, it used to be an aside. It used to be just something they did. I think the story is. What created licensing in my mind was George Lucas when he did the first Star Wars, and I guess he went to Ladd, who was the head of the studio, and said, "Well, you owe me money. I'll tell you what. Instead of giving me more, money from this first movie, just give me the licensing rights." So calls down the licensing. Well, we don't do that much with it. Okay, you can have all the ancillary rights for Star Wars, which Lucas had. Now, Lucas is now part of Disney, but that was, $8-10 billion ago that created, but it was much simpler then. And as I've watched it over the years, become much more large departments. And John's familiar with this because he was at Topps, and you guys saw the same stuff, and we had some of the same titles. We still debate about what's the Williams game.
Attack from Mars.
Mars
Attacks.
Yeah. You said they ripped it from you.
I'm just gonna. I won't. I won't badmouth anybody, but we had the feeling at Topps that we were kind of taken advantage of. that was our.
You have a designer on your company who can tell you what exactly happened.
Well, from what I understand.
They say very, very clearly they came out with their idea first, long before the movie.
I didn't actually hear that, but the movie was.
And they actually had a season.
But it was actually a comic book. I'm not sure from a timing standpoint.
Yeah.
But there was a comic book that we felt that the pinball machine was based upon.
Ah, right. Yeah. Okay. So rather than the movie.
But, the change of the name was kind of a sleight of hand, so.
But it was easier. It was easier back then with the licensing.
No Good Gophers was what? Caddyshack. Okay.
Companies been doing that for years, though, haven't they?
I know, but that kind of stuff doesn't, it's not the same today. We would no more do that than the man in the moon today.
Right. Well, no, because you actually want the license and you need the assets as well.
Well, there's the other point, in the licensing. We use so many more assets than any other product. Video games don't use as much assets as we do. They create a lot more assets of their own sometimes, and we get them sometimes. But nobody is a strain on a licensing department as much as we are.
But you do that as well, though. You create your own assets for certain.
Oh, absolutely
titles,
we do.
Like Walking
Absolutely.
Dead Remastered that's out there at the moment. You know,
Yeah, absolutely we do.
There's nothing from the TV
all
series.
of which have to be totally approved, of course.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But they have to be created by your in-house artists.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
even with Aerosmith, with one of the first Spike 2 games, I mean, all that artwork was generated in-house. I mean the LCD animations.
We do
and so on.
both. We do both.
Yeah.
We use theirs. We could generate our own. We do both.
So, going back to the European office, when's it launching?
Well, I mean, the office will be my apartment at first.
We start small.
And-
So when are you moving in?
So it's open 24/7.
So right now, we know that the Netherlands market is it's a tough market. I was talking to Jonathan about it, and hopefully Jonathan can help me out a little bit. Next step is
I'll send you my external
rate card.
Rate card, yes.
so I have to work with a real estate
advisory.
agent, and the market's extremely competitive at this particular point. So we're going month by month on it. I'm heavily invested in trying to find something as soon as possible. I have a dog who's half pit bull and half Great Pyrenees, so she's a little bit of a obstacle in finding a place. But once I locate a place, and sometimes it could take up to 3 months to lock in. And then I plan on moving over there. So
this year.
Absolutely, hopefully that's the goal. ASAP.
Can
in the meantime,
we then narrow that down to a season?
To a season. I'd love to be there. I'd love to be there before June. Yeah. I mean, that would be the goal.
What's in June?
Nothing.
This summer. Yeah.
It's better than the winter and
in my place I want to rent it out in Chicago. I live in Logan Square, which is a great neighborhood,
wow, yeah.
and I'd love to. It's already appreciated a lot, and would love to rent it out and hold on to it. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck with that.
No,
and
I
we look forward
appreciate
to welcoming you to Europe. We look forward to seeing the effect on the European pinball market and clubs.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
In closing, so I can obviously this is a challenge for you. It's also sort of an experiment for Stern.
Mm-hmm.
So has there been internal talks of how long of a period you're going to get to see how successful this can be, or is there a point at some point that this isn't going to work out, let's stick to what we have right now and come back to the US?
I think we're committed to 3 to 5 years, and then we can assess where we're at. But guys, I'll be really honest with you, and I'm a very humble person, and as you all know, I can't imagine not having a significant positive impact on this business, and not just from a selling perspective, but from growing out the community and leveraging the things that we've done really well with things like Stern Army and establishing locations that support pinball, to really helping our distribution channel be more effective at taking care of the customers and giving them a customer experience that they deserve, because they're spending a lot of money for this stuff. So I can, I'll be the Babe Ruth and point to the fences, but I can't imagine not having an impact on it. And I've done it pretty much throughout my career, and I think this is easy compared to the U.S. because it's been, I'm not going to say neglected, but the level of focus without having somebody actually with boots on the ground has never been here. So it's virtually just a barren piece of playing field that I can pretty much build with my team and with people like yourself and people that work with us and our distribution partners and our community. I mean, to me, it's just all upside.
Great.
Okay.
Well, please keep us updated with your plans and your programs that you're rolling out, so we can
100%, absolutely
engage with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a goal or an aim, like what you would like to a target? So to speak?
Maybe not, but I'll give you a little perspective. This, when it was a commercial market and I did the selling here myself, we were 40% of our business was here.
Right.
Well, it's not 40% right now.
Right. So, well, back in the Gottlieb days, I mean, Gottlieb
Pardon?
sold in the Gottlieb days when Gottlieb was big, and then we're talking 60s, 70s. Well, mostly then. I think Gottlieb mostly existed thanks of Europe.
Well, that's because they were owned by the Fesians.
Yeah.
Actually by
Mondau.
Mondau, which was who's the owner of Mondau? Help me! God darn it!
Not Festian?
Huh?
Not Bob Festian?
Well, Fesian was I think he's a son-in-law or something like that. It was Mondau. The French guy, and they ended up owning Gottlieb. Oh my God!
I should know this, but I'm blank for it.
I'm blank right now, and I know it, but I'm blank right now, and it's a shame on me. God.
Oh well, the French guy.
No. But, God damn it!
Well, Gottlieb was very popular in France. That is absolutely true. So, but even for Bally, I mean, Bally was very popular in Germany and the Netherlands as well.
So on
you're different time frames.
Yes.
On that slight detour that you just made there, although we're kind of wrapping this up, I noticed from your new Spike 3 system and the cabinet builds, it would be a lot easier for you to now manufacture games, or at least assemble games in Europe. Is that something that you would consider doing? I mean, it's something that Bally did with Bally Wolf. Is it something which Stern could do? It could have a European assembly plant?
Mr. Stern, I'm going to let you answer that one.
You never know, but that's not something that we're planning right now.
Okay, right. Just the way your new cabinets are bolted together, would
Yes.
enable them to be flat packed and shipped that way.
It has a lot of advantages for more than that one.
Okay, you'll hear the answer in our upcoming episode.
Oh, God.
Next month's edition.
And Gary was hoping to get some sleep. He was going to take a nap after this interview, but now, for sure, he will be...
Ring up and find out the answer to the question.
He's waking up somebody now.
This is like, he wants to be a millionaire. He
has
phone a
saved-
friend.
He has a saved voicemail.
This is going to be your final answer.
Yeah.
Hey, sweetheart, who was in France the head of Mondale back in the day? Fesian was in Europe, in America, right? Who was the? Oh no, it was Fesian. It was Fesian. Sarkeesian was in America. Sarkeesian was the son-in-law, and Søren Fesian was the French. Yeah, Søren Fesian.
We got the answer.
It was. You were right. It's Fesian, Søren Fesian, and he was in World War II. He worked for the Germans, and he ran a resistance cell at night. He was a tough guy.
Who did you wake up to get this answer?
Yeah, it's Frank Ballou. He's downstairs. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sweetheart. Where are you? You're in bed. Screw you.
Doing business.
See, he's got the power nap, and you guys have screwed me up.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. But I'm glad we got there in the end. Thank you very much. So, anyway, thank you, Gary. Thank you, John. Thank you for your time.
You guys. Thank you.
And we look forward to all the new initiatives you're going to bring to the European market.
Thank you.
Well, next time we'll get together, we will have another recipe for you, and continue the.
It's your recipe next time.
We already had new chicken. We can't have that again.
No, Gary has another. We actually have two.
Oh, even better. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you, guys.
Gary explained how he's cooking the steak and the baked potatoes.
Well, that's two microwaves and a Gen grill and all that. That's easy. Absolutely.
Our nuke chef is at it again.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Well, thanks to Gary and to John for taking all that time and as well as giving us their respective recipes. And it's always entertaining and informative to sit down with them at EAG Expo. And we kind of have the time to have a proper conversation with them, which we don't often have at the other shows we go to. Although even then we always push the amount of time that we're supposed to spend with them much further than we need to. And then by the time we finish, the show's
we are a great company to
the
hang
show's
out.
almost closed by the time we finish. So, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll move on with our Stern Pinball news. Yeah, let's get to that code section that everybody loves. Yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
Where's my pillow?
four games get code updates in January. Star Wars: Fall of the Empire.
I don't need a pillow for that.
Yeah, version 0.89 gets cooperative and team play modes added. New Obi-Wan Force mission, which we'll all be waiting for. Several new feature adjustments, some audio fixes, and a few rule changes. This is a strange one. James Bond 007's 60th anniversary also gets an update. Remember last month we mentioned about Star Wars, the Steve Ritchie game, getting an update. That was for the topper that came out on the new Star Wars the Empire game. Well, James Bond 007, 60th anniversary model, the exclusive one, that got an update to version 1.1.
Less than 500 units.
Yeah, I don't know quite why that was deemed worthy of an update, but it got several updates, including the new service menu, the full graphical user interface rather than the dot matrix replicated on the screen. Fast setups for Wi-Fi and game registration, which is now standard on certain games. Some improved display graphics. That's about it, really, for James Bond. So not any obvious reason to update it, but hey, owners, all 500 of them, will be very happy with that. Dungeons and Dragons, Tyrant Eye, version 0.99, almost fully featured. That came up on the 29th as well. Quite a lot of rule changes, actually. Greatly expanded how the Dragon multi-ball works. That's now a much more complex mode, and the associated sounds as well. They change. They changed how you qualify Dragon multi-ball, and they added many more monster encounters while you're traveling. Increased the points value, and they added new controls to reset just one character's progress rather than everyone's progress. Which was something they originally had. You do all or nothing, and now you can just do, if you want to play one character, you can reset that. A few bug fixes and a few typos fixed as well. And the X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men version 0.97, that got new Nimrod escape mode and Save Senator Kelly wizard mode at last. They also implemented the new service menu user interface, added a new skill shot, Mike Vinicore named Skill Shot, MXV, and new achievements and quite a few bug fixes as well in that game. So that wraps up the code for Stern Pinball in January 2026.
Well, not entirely, because I do have a question about the Dungeons and Dragons Tyrant's Eye code update. Yeah, well, I do. Well, I'm not sure whether...
I was certainly done.
But
ask away anyway.
Well, I do remember that the Dragon multi-ball was very easy. I mean, there was 2 shots to the 3 target bank, and then a right orbit, and you're there. Has that been made?
Well,
more
it
difficult?
was originally simple. Then they changed it and made it much more difficult, and decided that was too difficult. So then they made it easier again. It is just a matter of shooting the target bank in order to start in order to light Dragon multi-ball. Although the number of pre-lit letters on it is adjustable in the settings, so you might have to spell out Dragon and hit it by hitting it all 6 times, and that starts the first multi-ball once you've actually locked the ball. But after that, it gets a lot harder. And also the value of it is a lot more complex now. It's not you might start it, but you may not get that many points out of it unless you go into it with various conditions already fulfilled. So I won't go into what they all are, mainly because I don't know what they are. But I did read.
Oh well, thanks for this.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I think the basic answer is yes. It is quite simple to start still now, but it's it might be simple to start, but you don't get a lot of points for it, and if you start it too soon.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So moving on.
Yeah,
Barrels
of Fun
in Texas. Houston.
Yeah. They will have, they'll have 2 of their Winchester Mystery House games at the upcoming Pinball at the Beach show, being held.
Well,
yes, yes, I am able to go. Fortunately, being held at St. Pete's in Florida in a couple of days' time. They also announced that they have 58 Labyrinth machines left in stock. I think that's quite a lot, actually, considering they cut production short, I think, on that. So those are the last ones. They're not going to make any more, but of course there might be some distributors as well. But those are the ones that Barrels of Fun have in stock. I don't know whether their stock level includes distributor stock in that count.
Right. Well,
I'm guessing not, as they can just count up how many they've got in the factory. Other than that, they're busy building Winchester Mystery House games.
Right. So, but still interesting. I mean, Labyrinth is a very cool game, despite the theme. There we go again.
Yeah.
Well, I understand there's a new code update giving the game a new sound design.
Yeah,
package,
absolutely. Came out on the 30th.
which makes it probably more interesting as well. Even more.
Yeah, it's created by Jeff Dodson, who did all the music and sound for the Dune game and the Winchester Mystery House. I mean, he didn't do all the music for the Dune game because it includes some of the movie music, but he's the sound designer and composer for Winchester Mystery House, and yes, he's created an entire new sound package for Labyrinth, which I don't think anybody really saw coming.
I'm very curious because the original sound package is very, I would say, odd.
Well, it's an odd movie. It's very true to the movie, should we put it that way?
Yeah, but well, it has this high, very relaxing melody when you start the game in the original mode that you start the game in. But I found it very appealing, so I'm very curious to find out what stayed and what has been improved.
Yeah, well, what else has been added is they've added the shaker motor support, which wasn't included originally. Some new light shows, some bug fixes, and there's an update to the barrel ball rules, which is like stall ball for Barrel of Fun games, which allows you to set a number of players now, so the game will automatically end when a certain number of players are out, and they're just down to one, and they'll be the winner. Plus, there's more informational text on how to play it, and also the game starts now with one red shot lit, so don't shoot the red shot. Is the basic rule for barrel ball, and when on the Labyrinth games. So yes, but all that stuff was introduced into Dune as part of its barrel ball mode, and it's now been retrofitted into Labyrinth as part of this great new code update on the 30th of January. Interestingly, I didn't realise this, but you have to load it through a USB stick because the Wi-Fi updating has been disabled for some reason. I think it was too unreliable, but so you will need a memory stick in order to do this.
Oh well. So, I guess that's all the news for Barrels of Fun for the month of January.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to Spooky Pinball.
Yes, obviously, Beetlejuice, recently announced game. And the first of those games have rolled off the production line and are now reaching buyers, which is good news. Haven't heard any reports much about it, but I can report that they will have 10 Beetlejuice games set up at Pinball at the Beach this coming weekend. So I'm actually in with a chance of playing a new game at a pinball show. They've got 10 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, that's exciting.
But that should reduce the line, you think?
Yeah. Well, I think the tickets are limited anyway, and there aren't sort of seminars and things as such to distract people. So the game should be available, for a lot longer, and people should be able to play them when they want. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. The other thing was, remember I think it was last month we mentioned about this new add-on for the Evil Dead game called the Dead Bar, which adds lighting under the back panel, or onto the back panel, I should say, in that area where it is quite dark. It's fully supported within in the game software and was quite a cheap upgrade. In fact, it was so cheap that it sold out straight away and was almost immediately out of stock. Well, the good news, in a way, was that the Dead Bar was back in stock at Spooky Pinball in mid-January, where they had 150 units available. The bad news, is that they all sold out straight away, and it's now out of stock again. So, if you didn't get one of those,
sounds like Spooky have another hit on their
yes.
hand.
Well, yeah. I think everybody who's got an Evil Dead machine wants to get the Dead Bar add-on. So at least they know how many they will sell eventually, because it's limited by the number of machines that they sold, which was, I think, 888, wasn't it?
Right. Well, if they come in batches of 150,
it could take a while. I think it would. Yeah. I think if the first batch was that size, and they got 300 out of 888. Yes.
Yeah, and they probably want to adjust software for previous games where people want to install that Dead Bar as well.
Not sure whether it fits into earlier games, but maybe not at the moment. Anyway, but it's possible.
Well, there's no code yet, but who knows? Oh well. Well, then obviously you need to plug it into something as well.
And call it something else. It can't be Dead Bar if it's not in an Evil Dead.
I guess you could still call it Dead Bar because the Evil Dead was the first game that it was introduced on, but you could still use it in, I don't know, Looney Tunes, for example, or Ultraman.
Oh, right.
Not sure whether it needs it, but oh well.
Okay.
So, I don't think it will fit in Total Nuclear Annihilation, but
and probably doesn't need it either. Okay. I think that's all the news we have from Spooky Pinball, so we should move on, and we have a lot to get through.
Right. So Multimorphic sent out a new public update.
They did. They said the Portal game kits, Portal being their current game still, are shipping at a very good pace. But unfortunately, the complete machines with Portal pre-installed, they're lagging behind because the full machines are taking longer than intended to produce. So that'd be true for any complete games, I guess, not just Portal. But Portal game kits are available for these machines, but the actual rest of the machine isn't. So they are coming along, but they're certainly not coming out as fast as the kits are. So it's not a one-to-one comparison or production rate. So if you bought the whole thing, you might have a bit of a longer wait. That's the upshot of that.
More anticipation.
Yeah, it's forced anticipation. In the meantime, version 0.9 of the P3 software development kit has now been released, and it's available for those who want to build their own games for the P3. And several people have done, of course. It includes specs for building playfield modules. You want to add a playfield module rather than use a pre-existing one. Documentation for the code, which is in there, and how you interact with the various physical elements of the game. And also the various sizes for artwork on the game. You know, the cabinet sides, the decals, all that kind of stuff, the apron decals and the back box, and all that's there if you want to produce your own artwork for your game. And all this is available to download for free from the Multimorphic website. You just need to log in and register first, and then log in, and you can download the P3 software development kit.
Okay. Not sure how many people that actually are using, but it would be interesting to find out.
Yeah, well, hopefully it'll bring more people into the game development side, because we've already seen several people produce games for the P3. One of whom, of course, is Nick Baldridge, and we mentioned him last month in one of his the first video in a P3 pinball service learning series, where he was looking at how the P3's flippers work and how they differ to flippers you might be more familiar with from Bally Williams games, for instance. Well, he's got a new video out which looks at the rather unique ball trough that's installed in the P3 pinball platform, which holds 15 balls, is it? Something like that.
Yeah, 13, 15, something like that.
But and of course, doesn't sit at the bottom by the flippers. It's right up towards the top by where the upper playfield module plugs in. So unique in many ways, and has many different ways in which you can launch the ball, as it certainly is demonstrated very, very, very cleverly in the Portal game. So anyway, if you want to know how it works and how it differs from, well, how it differs from a standard ball trough, it hardly has any similarities. But then hello to Multimorphic's website and have a look at their the P3 pinball service videos from Nick. And thanks to Nick for doing that. Of course, Nick is part of the Multimorphic team now, working alongside them, as well as developing games of his own, in both ones which are currently available and more, which we've spoken about before. Steelbound being one that he is working on.
So, and who knows, with the Texas Pinball Festival coming up, maybe, just maybe, we might be able to make a visit to Multimorphic, although we haven't asked yet.
It's possible, yeah. Well, we could make a detour.
And if we do, then of course you get a full report of Like Fight on this very special PINcast.
Yeah, it'll be the April edition. Start of April, looking back at March. Yes.
Yeah. In our roundup of the Texas Pinball Festival and March, of course. But so maybe something to look forward to. Well, for us, of course, we've been there before, but it's always nice to pay a visit.
Okay. So we better kind of get on with it because we have more news, and this time from Jersey Jet Pinball.
Yeah, that is very interesting because I had not heard of this. Actually, I learned from this. I learned the following news actually from you.
Well, first time for everything. Yes. Okay. Good. Well, Jersey Jet Pinball launched their new 3D game viewer for their Harry Potter Collector's Edition game. Basically, it's an interactive 3D model viewer that allows you to view the game from any angle, zoom in on any part of the playfield or cabinet, spin it around, explore all key features, and also, which is unique to the mobile version, if you run it on your phone or tablet, using the camera that's built into that, you can put it into an alternative reality where it places a model places the model of the Harry Potter game in your environment, and then allows you to move the device around to see how it would look in your home, or in your game room, or in your lineup of existing machines. And you can still do all the moving in and rotating around the game, but it's rather than having it in a black background or a castle background, it's in your home. So that's a nice new feature. It's only available for the Harry Potter Collector's Edition at the moment, but certainly seems like it'd be a very useful tool when they launch future games and want to help promote it by, rather than just having to send out all these detailed pictures of the game, I could just do a model. Now, you have to bear in mind it is only a model. It's not a real production game. It's 3D rendering of it, real-time rendering of it. So it doesn't include all the aspects of it that are actually in the game. If you zoom in, you will see there are no switches in it. There are no wires for any of the lights or anything like that. But it gives you a very good impression, and you can certainly see all the inserts and the artwork and how the various mechanisms in the game operate, because it has like a track mode lighting going on, and all the mechanisms trigger in sequence So like the staircase spins round, the flippers flip, the pop bumpers bump, and the car in the tree wobbles and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very impressive feat, and it seems to work very well on every device I've tried it on. It doesn't seem to be particularly demanding on the graphical rendering capabilities, but I suppose these days we're kind of used to that, aren't we, with modern phones and tablets. It works fine on desktop as well, and works on iPhones, works on Androids. Yeah, it's a very impressive little piece of work, and congratulations to whoever at the Jersey Jack Pinball team put that all together.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Apparently, you received a press kit. I didn't, so I'll be reaching out to see why I was excluded.
That's very odd. Yes, I'm sure you normally would, but it didn't come from anyone I was familiar with at the company. So I guess they had a promotional companies doing it, and maybe a distribution list. I had this in the past. Names get dropped off the list. I've been dropped off Stearns in the past and didn't get sent out press releases for games, but a few words in the right ear, and all get settled and sorted out.
Right. So, okay. Then, well, so I suppose that rounds it up.
I think it does, yeah.
Yep. Trying to think whether any Jersey Jack design member teams or members are attending Pinball.
Steve Ritchie will be there, I'm sure.
Right, okay. And maybe Eric Meunier. So, oh, well, have fun. You'll be there, I won't.
Yep, I'll send your apologies.
Yeah, I'll be sending them myself as well, but oh well. Anyway, moving on to, well, why not Dutch Pinball?
Yes, why not?
After all, I'm Dutch.
Yes. What's the news there?
Well, probably because, well, there is no
okay,
news.
that won't take long then.
Yeah, so no, there was a brief threat that we, or they actually, as Pinball Magazine as well, might be facing another 10% tariff increase because of the whole Greenland situation, military impact and what have you. But thankfully, it took another Dutch person to get the situation neutralized, so to speak, and those announced tariff increases for Europe have been lifted again. So
who is this Dutch
good
person
news.
who?
It's Mark Rutte, who is who runs NATO.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, so and apparently he's, according to President Trump, a close friend. So, thankfully, that saves American buyers a lot of money when it comes to buying European games,
and saves more grief for Dutch Pinball and Pinball Brothers and Pedretti and all those who were trying to sell their games into the US market and having to deal with having to work out what to do about increased tariffs again. We thought we'd waved all that goodbye. But, here we are. Speaking of Pinball Brothers, though, you see, what a segue. I've been working on this all month. Yeah, I believe that. Well, yes, Predator sales, the current game from Pinball Brothers, the current latest game, I should say, is definitely sales are definitely ending on the 31st of March 2026. They say, definitely, yes, definitely.
I thought they said they were definitely ending at the 31st of December.
Yes, that's right. I thought that they're definitely. Maybe this is the sell-off period where they have 3 months.
Probably, yes.
That means that I'm not sure if that means that the distributors with stock can't sell them, or
no, probably means that they have a sell-off period of 3 months, so they would not be allowed to manufacture them in 2026. But Pinball Brothers themselves have a sell-off period, the way I read it, of 3 months. So all the games that they have in stock are still allowed to be sold either to individuals who buy them directly, if possible, or distributors who buy them from Pinball Brothers. After that, I think a distributor can sell the game whenever he wants.
Right, because I mean, most of their sales will be through distributors.
Yes.
I assume that even Pinball Brothers USA is treated as a distributor in that regard. So they could send plenty of machines over to them and sell them through that outlet forever. And they don't sell directly to the European market, I don't think, either. If you go to buy a game on the Pinball Brothers website, it takes you to freeplay.se.
Yeah, which is still a company owned by Daniel
but it's
Jansen.
not Pinball Brothers, so it's a distributor, so they should be able to sell them. So I'm not sure exactly who's not going to be able to sell them after the 31st of March, but for contractual purposes, Predator sales are definitely ending 31st of March 2026.
So hurry.
yeah, okay.
Right.
And in the meantime, they've been doing lots of promotions of Predator on their social medias, lots of customer appreciation videos as well. They've been sharing. The impression you're certainly getting is that Predator's not a sleeper as such, but maybe underappreciated exactly what a fun game it is.
Right.
We'll see. I haven't played the latest version of the code, so I don't know quite how it. Yeah,
I haven't played it at all. The line was too long.
Hopefully,
all the shows I went
this weekend.
To.
Looking forward to it.
I'm not sure whether I'll be running into the game this weekend, but oh well.
Oh, I'll tell you all about it. Right. Okay. So that's enough for Pinball Brothers for this month.
So. Yeah, well, from Pinball Brothers, it's just a small leap to Italy, where we have Pedretti Gaming collaborating with Pinball Brothers in Euro Pinball Corp. So, sort of related, or actually, very involved. Interestingly, last month we reported that Pedretti is started a collaboration with
Sam Zahar.
Artherio. Sam Zahar, Artherio Games. Sam Zahar, who we mentioned last month, former Capcom programmer and such. Pedretti now, this month they started introducing new team members as if they were employees of Pedretti. Sort of. And Sam Zahar was the first to be introduced, followed by Jay Powell, who is a co-founder of Artherio Games, together with Sam Zahar. And they also introduced Frank, who turns out to be Frank Gigliotti, which is an Italian last name, and he has Italian roots, who we know as a programmer for Riot Pinball, who you may know from their Legend of Valhalla game that they licensed to American Pinball. And before that, the Wrath of Olympus, which was a white body homebrew game, very impressive one, a very good one too, but too expensive to take into commercial production, sadly, because it was really a cool game. And Frank has also worked in a distant past, so to speak, for Data East, and later on Stern Pinball, where he has done matrix animations, I should say, for Tommy, Transformers, and Avatar. And obviously after that, Riot Pinball, of course, and now he's a part of or team member of Pedretti, where he will be programming as well.
Yeah, on their upcoming games.
I mean, there was no point in having him build cabinets, so...
Yeah, I think they know how to do that already. Yeah.
So, and interestingly, we talked about American Pinball licensing 7 Bally Williams titles for upcoming reimaginations of these titles. Obviously, as we already mentioned, Pedretti Gaming and also Chicago Gaming are also doing remakes of Bally Williams games. In case of Pedretti, we're talking about Whirlwind with a update kit and Funhouse 2.0 as a full game, although it started as a kit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's right. It was Rudy's Revenge, or Rudy's Nightmare, sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So you might wonder, how does that work? And I'm not sure whether I mentioned it, but I did reach out on Facebook to Planetary Pinball, who is the licensor, of course, of Bally Williams games. They control that catalog, so to speak. And I asked about whether the agreement with American Pinball would be an exclusive one, or if it's affecting the relation that they have with Chicago Gaming and Pedretti. And in a response, Planetary indicated that they well, it turns out that the agreement with American Pinball is non-exclusive, and they will continue working with Pedretti and Chicago.
Okay.
Agreements. So they're all working on a non-exclusive basis, but they will have certain exclusivity when it comes to specific titles. As the way I understand.
It makes no sense to have multiple companies working on the same title, does it?
No. So it does mean that, obviously, like you mentioned earlier, about 50% of the Bally Williams titles were licensed intellectual property based on either a movie or a character or a comic book or what have you. And the other remaining games were sort of original titles. I think Theater of Magic or Whitewater, not related to a movie or anything else. These seems to me, will be the titles that are most interesting to remake, in the sense that it doesn't require that many licensing efforts, in the sense that you don't have to talk to a movie studio or actors that have been involved and may no longer be alive or something like that. So you have to talk with an estate, and they might have a different point of view, and yada yada yada.
Yes, you actually reminded me. I went to American Pinball once, and obviously Dennis, back in the time when Dennis Norman was working there, and got a chance to see.
I was there as well,
and you got a chance to see what he was working on, which was effectively a follow-up to Whitewater. So
yes.
That would be a reimagining, I guess, of Whitewater. It could be Whitewater 2.
No, that would be a different game.
Well, it could use the same title. It could be Whitewater 2. I mean, that wasn't the title that he had for it, but no, it could be tied in with. It could be marketed in that way. But
right. So, but then you would just have to license the title Whitewater, or the name Whitewater.
Well, you could say it's been reimagined into this game.
Right.
Maybe that's what some of the reimagining is going to be. Actually, reimagining the playfield.
I would think that. I would probably think that the playfield would more or less stay the same, but you never know.
It could be a mix, couldn't it? It can be some could just reimagine the software and the and add an LCD and RGB lighting throughout, and others could be totally reimagined. Anyway, and we're speculating,
right?
And
if we're speculating on that subject, and this is speculation mode on. Let's say American Pinball, while we're talking about Pedretti, but let's say American Pinball is aiming to reimagine Whitewater. If they would do that, and it would be one of their first games, then it would make sense to ask Dennis Nordman to finish
Certainly would.
Whitewater 2
Yep.
game, because all the customers that you just sold the Whitewater game to are now also in the market for the sequel, so to speak.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So here's some free marketing advice to Brian Vincent, although I don't think he needs it, but it might be interesting to or worthwhile to see if you can get Dennis Nordman back on board.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Speculation mode off.
Thank you.
Let's get on. Well, we can do that because the next few companies haven't got any news for anyway. Turner Pinball, also in Texas, as we were talking about earlier. No news from them. They're just making and streaming Merlin's arcade game. You can watch a live stream of it every Wednesday night through their Facebook page. No news about any subsequent titles coming up, although with Texas Pinball Festival, only what is it, 6-7 weeks away?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Oh, wow. You might design a new game.
Yeah, well, fast, not that fast. Okay, we mentioned Chicago Gaming earlier. We've just dropped in the fact that we've got absolutely no news from them at all this month.
No.
Lots of rumours about what they might be working on. A few hints and tips given in various places. A few Easter eggs if you look carefully, but no actual announcements from them. And this was after last month where they were taking orders into 2026 Q3. Maybe even Q4. I can't quite remember exactly how long ago. Let me have a little look. They were talking about MMR, Medieval Madness remakes.
Madness remake, yes.
Toppers
and
kits and RGB kits, and Merlin editions as well coming in Q2 this year. Yeah, but no more news since then.
Yeah, but oh well. We'll just have to wait and see. Last year they were at the Texas show, so who knows what they might be bringing this year.
Yeah.
So, if they are going anyway.
We do have some news from Wonderland Amusements. Remember them? They're producing the 80% size version of Alice Goes to Wonderland, and they are like talking about Multimorphic earlier. Yeah, they are experiencing some delays in production of their games, but they do say containers were picked up earlier this week. This was this week, or in fact, probably last week now, and are now staged at the port awaiting departure in a few days. They will be sent to 2 distribution centres across the US. They say they wish this had happened months ago. I bet they do. But they're relieved to finally say machines are on their way to the US because they're US-only purchases, you might remember. So the first container is estimated to arrive February the 11th. So several weeks' time, with the second one 12 days later on the 23rd.
Is there any coincidence that the 11th of February happens to be Stern Media Day for...
I don't think so. I don't think that's going to interrupt Stern's plans. They say once the containers land, they need 1 to 2 weeks to get cleared, unpacked, labelled, and handed off to local delivery couriers. So maybe the first batch, maybe by the end of the month, those will be arriving at people's homes. No idea how many are in the first container, I have to say. But they're relatively small boxes, the way they pack them. So there should be quite a few.
Yeah.
So if you were in on that Kickstarter, and these are the first games to go, then you should be getting your machines this month. So in which case, good luck.
Well, transport inside the US also takes time, so it might be March.
Well, by then there might be some more tariffs to pay. You never know. But Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, enough of that. Yes, that's the news from Wonderland Amusements in January.
Right. Okay. So then heading back to Europe, Hexa Pinball in France have announced the shows that they will be attending in this year, basically 2026, which will be Pinball at the Beach, the Texas Pinball Festival, where we expect to see the premiere of the Three
Yep, that's what
Musketeers,
we're aiming for.
their announced upcoming title. They will be at the German Pinball Expo, the Austrian Pinball Festival, where you will be going as well. And I already have a DJ booking that weekend, so I won't. UK Pinfest in August, which would be nice to go again. Pinball Expo Festival Retro Play in France, that is, and the Dutch Pinball Open Expo. To my surprise, but I'm not sure whether I read it correctly, but there's only one French show in there.
Yeah.
So far. They used to attend more shows.
Yeah, those are the ones they've confirmed so far. Maybe the dates for some of the other shows haven't been announced just yet. But they will probably be at some others. I think they'd be at the Tréport for one, wouldn't you? Unless it coincides with another date. But they're going to 6 of the same shows that I'm going to, which makes me wonder whether they're stalking me.
Oh,
but
they want your attention.
Yes, okay, I get the hint, guys. Yeah. So the first show will still be Space Hunt, and then after that, I guess it will all be Three Musketeers all the way.
Well, yeah. Or both.
Or that Renault game.
Which is based on a different...
yes, that's right. Yeah, less attractive.
I haven't seen any... there's also a Louis Vuitton version.
Is there?
Understood.
I bet that's very smart.
Yeah.
Have to get pictures of that.
With a leather... what I understood, signs.
Cabinets, yeah.
So it has, yes. So it has that Louis Vuitton, that typical Louis Vuitton look.
Okay. Well, they're making good use of their Space Hunt game. Right, moving on then. We have a whole bunch of companies where there is basically no news.
Absolutely no news. Yeah. So and we're gonna make it very quick. So Vector Pinball in Australia, nothing. Home Pin in Taiwan, zilch. Pinball Adventures in Canada. Not even sure why we still list
them. For old time's sake, I mean, sentimentality.
Okay. So Rams Pinball in USA,
in Florida.
No news, but they might last seen at Pinball at the Beach last year. So who knows what happens this
year? They're not
year.
mentioned in any of the pre-show publicity up until now, and they're not listed as a vendor. So I don't know, but they're always open to surprises.
Yeah. Okay. So Bitronic in Spain also niente. Although now that would be better. Cardona Pinball in the US, no news either on any new remakes or upgrade kits or whatever you wanna call them. STR Pinball in Spain, nothing. They are supposed to be working on a game that has been announced 3 years ago, and since then it's been completely quiet. Quetzal Pinball in Spain, I know they are working on a title, but I can't talk about it. And then there is other news because we still have an interview for you. And we are already running late.
We're always running late. It's just like talking to Gary Stern and John Pascalio again. But okay, so on to the other news. And Classic Playfield Reproductions have announced the retirement of one of the co-founders. Along with that, they're having a move to smaller premises and holding a back to the basement type sale of surplus stock So it's now running through their website at classicplayfields.com. But to find out more about this all and what it's all about, let's speak to the other co-founder and the new president of the company. That's Kevin Waite.
Oh, thanks for having me, fellas.
Okay. As we've spoken about before, there's a few changes taking place at Classic Playfield Reproductions. First of all, the co-founder of the company, Mike Purcell, who is, as I understand, also an Air Canada pilot in his full-time job, is retiring from that role and also retiring from Classic Playfield Reproductions as the president. So he and Kevin were the two founders of it back in about 2005. I think that's right, isn't it, Kevin?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And all that time, you've been based up in Halifax in Nova Scotia. Is that where you were both from originally, or did one of you have to move from there, or was that just part of the Halifax pinball scene?
No, this is where we always lived. So we just, we just started basically in our basements and backyards at the time.
Okay. And so what kind of got you into doing reproductions of playfields initially, and then other products later?
Well, it was kind of the initial demand, I guess. The hobby was sort of bereft of any reproduction playfield making. I know Illinois Pinball Gene Cunningham dipped his toe into it a bit, and ran some KISS playfields way back in 2002 or 2003 from some of the original films that he had, and they were silk screened. And I could be wrong. It might have been Adam's Family even as well. I
remember those.
So much time has passed. Yeah. My memory gets foggy, but
yes,
that was kind of the only playfields that people saw, and they were so amazing to have at the time because there just weren't any alternatives unless people could find NOS to swap into their games to replace their worn playfields. So there was just kind of a need there that Mike saw, and he dipped his toe into it, like you said in your article, with Greg Walker, and made Halifax Pinball, and again sort of a basement operation, working in their sheds and garages and basements, and did that initial run with Gene Cunningham's help for that initial Fathom playfield run. And then when that was completed and kind of dusted off and everything was shipped, Mike sort of restarted with me, and then we went after Gene to do Centaur. Yeah. And then we kind of just went from there. That was 2005. Yeah,
it's very hard for some people, I think, to imagine how the pinball scene was back then, because getting reproduction of any artwork product was virtually unheard of, and it was very, very difficult, and a real specialist skill, I think. And it still is, of course, but these days there are a lot more people producing reproduction playfields, and so back then, when a new project was launched, there was a huge rush for demand on those, wasn't there? So when you announced that you were going to produce a playfield and it was now available, the orders would come flooding in. That's changed,
what made it worth it. Yeah, it was worth the work at the time. You could count on 100, 200, maybe even 300 customers or orders to justify cutting and gluing and printing and silk screening all those boards and putting them through clear coat when it was such a small operation, and it would take months. And I think our first year of with just Centaur, it took the whole year to get those 300 made or so for Gene at the time. Yeah.
But what's changed then in the interim that's resulted in you scaling back and the number of sales decreasing, as you described in the article?
Yeah, if we suddenly fast forward, from 2005 to today, if you span all those years, there's been a notable fulfillment, I guess, of all the titles, like all of the people that wanted or needed a swap and bought a reproduction playfield are pretty much served, because as every game gets dealt with and a swap is performed and a restoration is completed, that game is now off the table. So like I said, rinse and repeat that across 21 years, and all of those initial titles that we started with back in 05 and then 07, 2010, like all through the years, there's barely anyone coming back to the trough for those titles anymore. So you might sell, in the last few years, the titles that have been around so long might only sell 3 to 5 a year. And then you get into just the hobby changing a bit with more of a younger crowd and all us old farts kind of going off. And our collections have been around a long time. The new blood coming into the hobby, those that are in their 20s and 30s and even early 40s that are getting into pinball now, they're being dazzled by, the new in-box, all the wonderful manufacturers that have sprung up over the last decade, making wonderful games, and reproduction, the old stuff, is kind of taking a back seat to that. I think it's just a natural direction of the hobby. And therefore, even when we release a brand new playfield, like say last year in 2025, you had quoted me in the article as saying, and it's true, that we can have a debut playfield that's never been reproduced in the hobby ever, and we'll launch it. We'll have 20 pieces on hand, and then at launch in that first month, it'll sell 6, and then it'll go dead quiet. That's kind of the trend now. It's just so different from years ago. It just doesn't have the oomph that it used to have. So we really got to play our cards close to our chest for run lengths and planning and just see where the chips fall when we release something.
Is part of that because you've kind of done all the A-list titles now, and then you're moving into B and C-list titles, which people are less keen to spend money to fully restore back to pristine condition.
Yes, that's a smart observation. Yes, there's that element as well, because all the low-hanging fruit was kind of dealt with 5, 10, 15 years ago, because those were the higher priority titles to get completed. And the stuff that's coming out now is sort of, I wouldn't call it the scraps, but it's C and D titles. Yeah. So there isn't even going to be an expectation there based on demand or popularity of the machine for needing to buy them either. So you kind of have a double-edged whammy there.
Well, it sort of makes sense. I mean, with all due respect, there's probably not much demand for a hard body playfield.
No,
first of all, because the game isn't that popular, but as a result of the game not being popular, they weren't played that much. So the original playfields are also still in quite reasonable condition compared to games that have been played so much that they've been completely worn out.
Correct.
Over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it works from both ways.
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things which we noticed over the years, of course, and it's throughout the hobby, is the rise in prices and the rise in price of commodities as well. So things like wood and inks, and of course staff as well. Now, at the peak of your production, you said you were employing 12 people at CPR, 12 full-time people and a couple of
full-time,
a couple of part-time people as well.
And there was some floaters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now you having to scale back your operation and cut the number of staff. So has that already happened, and how did that process take place?
Yes, that's already happened from September through till now. It was actually quite early. I think we were all dusted up with the layoffs probably by the end of November, and we were in the direction where we were preparing for where we're headed now. So it was, it was unfortunate. You never want to let family go, and everyone within the building was kind of family in a way. It wasn't a normal workplace. It was cool, right? It was everyone. Everyone had their hearts in it, and really enjoyed the whole surroundings and the stuff that we're making, right? So it was a cool shop to work at, and not everyone on staff, probably 75% of the people, weren't even pinball people who ever owned a machine or even played one in their life. I mean, they got used to it, at some of our staff parties that we held either, at my place or at a pinball arcade downtown or Mike's place. They got used to what pinball machines were, but they were hired on for their skill set of what function they were going to be doing. And it's a lot of, making playfields and making all of this stuff is a lot of grunt work. And, it's not always elegant or or spectacular.
Mm.
But when you have to stand at a table and glue inserts for 8 hours a day, it just becomes purely that function, right? So of the staff we had to let go and pare things back, it was all of the extra staff, like you said, for the expansion that we did, that we started in 2023 to dip our toe into doing contract or bulk or wholesale manufacturing of playfields, whatever you want to call it, for the pinball factories that make games like Barrels of Fun and Pinball Brothers or Pedretti Pinball over in Italy. That's where we dipped our toe in to see if we could maybe get on board with the new direction of the hobby, which is new games.
Right.
So that was the difference there, that we tried that experiment.
And of course, we've been talking mainly about playfields, but of course, your product range is much more than that now. You may have started off as classic playfield reproductions, but of course now you're doing black glasses, plastic sets, and then you expanded into a range of other products as well.
Yes.
How much of your business now is playfields, and how much of it is how much of it is playfields, and how much of it is other products?
Well, I mean, playfields are the backbone of the place. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing that drives it. Glasses and plastics are kind of like needed accessories to kind of go along with it, because if you're going to get a playfield, and that usually means that a swap is going to happen. There's a restoration happening there of a game. And if there's a shedding back glass and there's old yellowed or cracked plastics, you're not going to reuse those when you swap your playfield. Usually 95% of the time, there's a vision of the customer who's going to buy the playfield for a swap. There's a game restoration in play, and having the glasses and plastics to go along with it to match is almost a given. So they're usually buying them at what we call trilogies.
Okay.
So they buy the playfield plastic set and back glass as like a group, and that ships to them as a whole kit in their order. And that's pretty much how it's gone down. That's why it's been important to have glasses and plastic sets alongside of it, of everything as well. But the playfields are what are propping up the business. If we just went glasses and plastics, we'd be out of business.
Okay. It just seemed to me that the glasses that you produce, they are things which anybody can replace very easily. You take out the old one, put the new one in. It could be a nicely mirrored one, for instance, or it could just be a much better quality one with less flaking and damage than the existing one, and that's a 5-minute swap. Whereas doing a full playfield swap can be a significant investment in time and effort. So I was browsing your site earlier, and we'll come back to that in a few minutes about what people can find on there if they haven't already visited. And I was looking at the glasses, and I'm going, oh, that's a really nice one. I could get a mirrored glass for my game, and that'd be a really simple thing for me to change. Actually, the playfield is probably fine, but it's an upgrade to me, and the plastics as well could be as well. But it is interesting to see that the playfield is still the bread and butter of your business. So
yeah, it is the bread and butter. You are correct about the plastics and glasses being quick grabs. Like, don't get me wrong, there are orders or customers that just order a glass and they want, say they own Adam's Family and they've been looking at their Translite all these years, and they think, well, it would be a nice upgrade to go to a real tempered back glass with mirror added to it and kind of pimp their machine up. And it is an easy install. Once it comes out of the box, they can put their trim on it and then just lift the old Translite out of the back box, put the back glass in, boom, you're done in 60 seconds. And it's that little enhancement you've added to your game. So yeah, there are individual orders for just plastic sets because, again, you slide out your glass, unscrew all the posts and put your new plastic set on, and then slide the glass back in. No playfield swapping, wiring looms, mechanicals involved. So they are quick swaps, you're correct.
And you mentioned in 2023 you started to do contract manufacturing for other companies that you already mentioned. Was that a point where you could already had experienced the slide in demand, the tapering off of demand for playfields, and were looking for ways to broaden the business and keep the volume, well, increase the volume probably, or even if it meant slimmer margins.
Yeah, it was kind of to test a second revenue stream of sorts, I guess. The writing was kind of already on the wall back then of the direction, because we can look at our stats. Just the website itself can spit out, statistics of what each year produces, produces or collects for sales off the website, and then you could see, well, X amount of play fields in 2020, X amount in 2021, 2022, 2023. And you could see the number, dropping, even though we were doing new releases and adding to the mix. And like I described previously, those weren't attracting the attention that previous runs did. So it was kind of like this slow crawl of diminishing returns of attention and sales and so on. So we had to make some decisions, and then Mike and I decided, we were approached, would you be interested in making playfields for our factory? Of course, that the first one was Barrels of Fun, and we seriously considered it, and obviously we went for it, and decided to expand and invest in all new lines of equipment, adding 5, 6, 7 more staff to run that line. We kind of considered it parallel or separate from the reproduction line, and then all of that equipment and those people could run separate and not disturb the reproduction business, and just run it that way, kind of parallel to each other in the building. So that's how we did it at the time, and that's where we went with it.
Right. Well, without wishing to get too much into the business and contractual aspects of it, why did that stop? Why are you not making those anymore?
Well, we ended up once we were finished, say for example with Barrels of Fun and the Labyrinth project, they went onward, and they've got their own. I can't give too much details of Dave and Van Ness's plans, but he has some directional plans within his own building and factory that we just I'll just say we just weren't needed anymore. And then we've hung in there, like Pinball Brothers over in Italy. We went through the Funhouse remake, the Rudy 2.0, whatever it was called, and we're making. There was 2 versions. There was the modern artwork and the classic artwork, and we supplied them with all those. And we've hung in there with them. They're still kind of ongoing because they've got projects now. Obviously, Predator is in play, and they've got some future plans that will. And we're gonna. We don't need. With where we're headed and with the shrinkage of the company, we're going to kind of keep riding with them. But again, it's tapering off, so to speak. These aren't as demanding to produce or whatever, and that kind of went with it. So we're going to basically back ourselves into an amount of base equipment and setup, especially after the move, that will be enough for kind of tapering that off and sticking with bringing those runs or contracts to an end, and then producing all the reproduction stuff and reruns and little rebatches that we need into the future. So we're slimming it all down.
Okay, you mentioned the move. What's you currently in a sort of a factory unit then, and where are you moving to?
Well, we're in like sort of your typical business park commercial unit in the Halifax business park, and we're moving to a building of our own, basically, that will it'll be smaller, but we won't have a landlord. We're going to kind of structure it where we have. I guess it's the next logical step for a business after 21 years, where you kind of own your own building. And we're going to kind of make that step an investment. So we'll be shrunken down, but we'll also kind of be paying for it all up front, and I guess kind of kiss rent goodbye, which is nice. And we'll kind of use it for the next many years. I'm hoping it under my purview will be going, another 3, 5, 7, 10 years. We'll see. I've got my retirement, my plans for my future, of course. But that's sort of the new direction that we'll be going, where we'll be, and I guess, like I said, a logical step into our own building. So that's the plan.
Right. Okay. Now, you've been as Classic Playfields reproductions in business since 2005. You're scaling down. I'm curious, from the top of your head, can you name some of your best sellers that that people might not even be aware that it's available at Playfields for game X or Y or Z, that you were like, well, that was absolutely a playfield that we made so many of. And basically the question, what are your best sellers?
Well, the first
if
one
you
is
can
an
share
easy
that.
answer. No, that's a great question. It's an easy answer. It's Centaur. Centaur has been an ongoing. I wouldn't want to call it a joke, but almost a meme within the business since 2005, and starting with it with Gene. We have rerun that damn thing so many times that I think the last count, and Mike and I chuckle about this all the time, we probably over the last 21 years have made, rerun, and sold upwards of 3,000 Centaur playfields.
Oh, goodness.
Wow.
And, which, when you look at the population of the game, now I'd have to go on the Internet Pinball database and check. I don't know.
I'm on it.
Can you check for me how many games were produced? Because then you have to balance that number with how many are surviving today, because many got destroyed and were thrown out by operators. So I guess speaking about a surviving population of that game, we just found that number to be ridiculous. And we don't know where they all went, if they're hanging on walls or stuck in people's closets, but we just thought that was outrageous. That was the highest demand playfield we ever did, hands down. Yeah, that's like 3 times the next best, which would be Adam's Family.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And
I have
close.
I
Sorry,
looked
go ahead.
Centaur up in the meantime. So there's Centaur and Centaur 2, but the playfields are identical, of course. There's a 3,700 production run of the first Centaur and 1,550
Wow, is that all?
of Centaur 2.
Right. Isn't that crazy?
That's about
So small.
So
that's why it
basically
boggled
2/3.
us.
Right.
That's amazing.
Well, it's a very high percentage indeed. Yes.
Yeah. So across all the years that you've been making that, has the technology for making these playfields remained the same? The last run of Centaur playfields that you made, were they silk screened in the same way that the first set of Centaur playfields would have been?
They were. Centaur, we've stuck with silk screening to the present day because it's a 3-color playfield, and we don't have to get into 10, 12, 16 color layouts like most of the other playfields would require and did back in the silk screen days. If you just think about it from a practical standpoint, if you think about old school silk screening, every color went down one at a time and stacked on top of the next. So it's like a deck of cards stacking up. So you start with a blank white wood. White goes down first as the white layer. Then your next darker color goes down, which we'll say is yellow. And then the next darker color, say orange. And you just keep going until you have a stack of all your primary spot colors, which we'll say is 10. And then the 11th color is the black line, or the key line that sits on top and seals it all together like a comic book. When you're doing runs of silk screening, you're doing 100 plus, all on racks, sitting next to a wet running press, and you're feeding them one at a time through. Then they have to dry. We used to have oven drying at one point, but we ended up finding that the heat was stressful on the wood. We started air drying. So that meant with 8 hours of the enamel sitting out in open air, you could do 1 color a day. So if you had a 10-color playfield, that's 2 weeks to print them all, Monday to Friday. So there's your 10 days, 10 colors go down, and then you have your batch of playfields. So it took over the shop. Silk screening was very demanding, but most of it was ink drying time. They're just sitting around. And that's how we ended up going digital, so you could go one at a time, full color, multi-layer, all coming off the press in one shot. And Centaur we kept as silk screening because you're done in 3 days.
On a slightly nerdy point, those silk screens don't last forever. Did you have to make more silk screens, or were those originals that last for the full 3,000 that you've made?
No, we make them fresh every time. I know I noticed Gene Cunningham back in the day. I don't know why I remember this, but I remember pictures. I think it's when we went down and visited him in
In
2005
Wilmington.
to see his facilities, make the handshake deal, and fly home with the Centaur films on the plane. I remember he had screens leaning against a wall for, it might have been the Kiss playfield, it might have been Adam's Family, I forget. But they were cleaned screens that came from the print shop that he used, and he took the screens back from them. And I guess they were just sitting poised and ready and cleaned and ready for another run someday. But he kept the screens. Now, if you're a silk screener, you know that's not what you do with your screens. You don't make a screen and shelve it. I mean, I guess unless you're going to use it over and over and over again, and that's in your future. But screens are recoverable, and what you do is you strip them back to their original clean mesh, and then you can recoat them and open new images in them at any time. So we have, dozens, probably, well, there's different sizes of frames, but we probably have 100 screen frames of all different sizes in sets. And there's a playfield size and a backglass size and a plastic set size. And sometimes we have multiple sets of each. And you try to have enough to do up to 15 colors in each set. So all these, they look like big drum heads, a big aluminum hard solid frame with a really tightly stretched silk screen mesh on it. That's why they call them silk screens, because it's almost like a hard silk. And you coat them and open images under them. You bake images onto them with a high intensity UV bulb, and you expose them. You go rinse them, and then all of the openings fall out. It's a really old school process, but it's recoverable. You keep using your frames over and over again. So every time we went to silkscreen a playfield, it was always freshly opened frames every single time.
And of course, the technology has changed, as I was saying earlier. But and now nearly all your work, I think, nearly all of it is digitally printed. Are you now able to produce equally vivid and dense colours using digital printing as you used to be able to do with screens?
Yeah, we fought the digital kind of concept till our last breath, and most of that was my fault because I was a stickler for it. I had my fingernails dug into silk screening right to the bitter end because I was a purist. Until we kind of had to really start going out and looking at some of this equipment and, dealing with dealers and salespeople for this gear of all the different brands and so on, getting samples done. I really had to wrap my head around making them do some real good samples for me and see what the tech could do. So by the time we were doing this shopping, I guess, to consider digital and me fighting it all the way, in 2018-ish, 2017, 2018-ish, it finally impressed me. And I had kind of this light bulb moment where if it can emulate spot colors this good, I think we can take the plunge. So we did, obviously, but it's done well. The tech can really emulate solid, like bucket hand-mixed inks for silk screening, except in a few different tones. There's flesh tone is usually a sore spot. If you look at flesh tone on a digital print really closely to get that tone, it's a mix of, a 6-color process on our press. It's a mix of tiny little flecks or dots that you can kind of see up close. Right. And there's other colors that show that, but most of them don't. And it looks as solid as a hand-mixed ink, and that's great. The only thing where silk screening really holds on, and it does still to this day, is the fluorescence. The fluorescence you cannot do in digital. There's just no way around it. So fluorescent green, fluorescent pink, sometimes people call them day glow or hot pink or hot green. Those colors have to come out of a true silk screen ink. So we ended up having to create a process to, if those reproduction playfields use those colors, we have to do kind of a hybrid process where the playfields have to make a trip. They get some layers on the digital. They have to make a trip to the silkscreen press to get 1 or 2 hot colors put down, the fluorescence. Then they go back to the digital to finish everything up on top. And then you've got all your layers done. with the fluorescents tucked right in the middle.
Right. Well, thanks for explaining the process. I think that's interesting. Now, as I said, you expanded the product range as well beyond playfields, and you ended up doing some other things such as toppers and additional plastic sets, and I'm trying to think what else you had there, but speaker skins. Yes, exactly. Yeah, but now with the scaling back of the scope of the business, you're just concentrating on the key playfields, back glasses, and plastic sets. Is that right?
Yeah, we're kind of going back to our roots. Look, we've tried to dabble in all sorts of little things to introduce things to the hobby to see how they'd go. Like, I can go way back to, this is almost a joke, but we had a thing that I tried. It was my brainchild. I'll take full responsibility for it. But back in the early days, and it was initialized by when we made the Black Knight playfields, we shipped them in boxes together where you had the lower playfield and the upper playfield. And they didn't like tuck into each other. So you had to have like them double stacked on top of each other. So in order for them not to rub, we decided, well, the smaller upper playfield needed to be wrapped in something that's protective to put it inside the playfield box, our normal shipping box. So how do we do that? Well, we came up with the idea of slipping the upper playfield into a nice, soft, true cotton t-shirt, and we decided to make a run of, CPR or Black Knight t-shirts at the time to commemorate the run, sort of a little bonus gift. So everyone who bought a Black Knight playfield got a t-shirt in their box with their upper playfield in it. So after that, this is just the initial story that planted the seed in my brain. We got into t-shirts for a little bit to go with some of the playfields. When we did Xenon next, we did a little run of CPR Xenon t-shirts just for fun and slipped them into boxes as a little bonus item. But then I came up with this little brainchild of, we ended up calling it CPR Fashions, which was a clothing line of silkscreen t-shirts of just pinball stuff. And we tried a few initial designs. I think we started with 3, 4, maybe 5 garments. They had pop bumpers on them, just general pinball t-shirts, and we offered them up on our website. Well, let me tell you, after buying, we had our own in-house t-shirts, silkscreen carousels, garment like ink dryers and all that stuff. It crashed. It burned. It never went anywhere. We might have sold a dozen shirts in total. And so, I mean, that's kind of just a side story of just dipping our toe into trying like little side things just to see what might stick. Yeah. And going fast forward, when we got into trying these toppers, from our CPR art director introduced us with a whole line of toppers that he came up with, speaker skins, and we were adding those through the latter years here in the last, 7 to 10 years, and trying those. They did okay. I mean, they weren't barn burners. Every month there'd be a handful of smattered across each going out the door and slipped into orders and stuff. They were good little side products to have. But with us looking at the move and limited space in the new site, some of the equipment and stuff that goes with that, and of course stacking and stockpiling the materials for it and keeping it on hand so when orders come in, they're ready to go and make. We're just going to let all those go, so we don't have to, keep supply of those anymore. And we're just going to go back to the, our roots, I guess, of the trilogies, the playfields, back glasses, and plastic sets, and just let kind of the bloat and the fluff go. And we really won't miss it. They did okay, like I said, but it was maybe 0.5% of revenue per month.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
I mean, but there are lots of other companies doing the same kind of job, producing toppers.
And lots of knickknacks.
Whereas playfields and back glasses and even plastic sets to a degree are probably more specialised and rely on tighter quality control of the kind which CPR is well known for. So I don't think people would necessarily think of CPR when they were looking for a topper for their game. They might be surprised to see.
It was just kind of there. Yeah.
Okay. So
it was there and it was convenient. people, making an order for a playfield glass and plastic set. I'll throw the topper in too. Why not? Right? It was a little thing that was just sitting there, tempting. And if they took it, they took it. If they didn't, they didn't.
Okay, so let's talk about your sale, your back to the basement sale, and what that actually means. Obviously you're trying to reduce the amount of stock you're going to and different product lines that you're going to take to your smaller premises. So that launched today, the 1st of February. And how long does that run for? And what might people be looking out for across the month?
It's going to run all month, so we're going to run it all the way to the 28th. Give everyone a nice month window to snatch everything they want to snatch while the getting's good. The least amount of stuff we have to move to the new location, the better. Just as a anecdote, the playfield stock that we have, and you'll notice a lot of aggressive price cuts. There's these playfields sitting around that have been sitting right for years, even where there's still 15, 20 plus left, and selling 1 or 2 a year. Our idea is, of course, obviously, to blow them out the door. Come get them, because if this is more in your price budget and you've got a game you always wanted to swap, and this is easier on your wallet, come. We welcome you. Come grab it now. We're happy to see it go, because again, these ones selling 1, 2 a year, and if you got 20 on the shelf, it'll be 10 years to sell what we've got left. If we can get as many of those out the door and start kind of fresh from our new site, and really have a look at what we need to remake and whatever, we're quite happy to let it go right now. So that's kind of the plan with the playfields. You'll notice plastics and glasses are not on sale, because we make those on demand. So we have lots of raw glass here that's blank, and lots of PET G in all of the different master sheet sizes, ready for orders at any time. So there's no stock per se sitting here, but people are, of course, able to grab them with these discount playfields, and they are doing that as we speak. So there's really no urgency there. There's no problem in moving those, because we've just got PET G and blank glass and stuff to move. And we just get that on demand from the glass and plastic suppliers anyway. So there's no urgency there. You'll notice a new, we call it the bargain corner. It's kind of a clearance section we're adding to the site, and we're probably going to keep that. It's not just for February, but its current function is to get rid of stuff that's been lingering around the shop. We've been pack rats for 21 years. We've got stuff in the back rooms and on racks and on shelves that we just couldn't bear to throw away, because some of it's cool. And, it's just, instead of going to the dumpster, we've held on to reject prints and seconds and blemish products and stuff. Always thinking that maybe someday, it'll find a home. You know what I mean? So you'll notice that section will be populating all month. It's getting bashed right now. People are grabbing stuff up really quickly. But there's like reject back glasses, misprints, things with blemishes or scratches on them, and on and on and on. Everyone is listed separately and has its individual pictures and descriptions.
Yes.
So people can go in and look at that section all month. And I'm going to be trying to stay on top of it. It takes a little bit of work, because you got to hunt stuff down in the shop, take it down, get it photographed, get the script, assign it a code and get it in the system and up on the website. And we'll be doing that throughout the month in little waves. Won't be every day, but that'll be the plan. So as it's being snatched up, don't fret. There'll be other stuff coming right behind it. So who knows what you might find. It's like I say, there's stuff we haven't looked at in years that will be emerging, and we just want to get rid of it, right? So that's kind of the story behind that.
I was looking at it just now, and basically everything is sold out in Bargain Corner except for 2 items.
Oh, that's good.
So it'd be a shame if we did this interview and there's nothing left.
Yeah.
But you will be adding more stock as and when you get to it.
I just want folks not to fret. Like, don't worry. There's more coming, and I'm happy that this stuff is going to go into homes where, they'll be able to put it up on their game room wall, or maybe even put it in a game. Like, whatever their plans are for it, I'm not worried about, but I'm just happy that these things are finding homes. It's almost like having an animal shelter, and you want the cats and dogs to find good homes. That's kind of the gist of it, is just to finally get it out of here, because we don't want to move it. There's not going to be the room to have all this stash, and now's the time. So that's the story behind it. Yeah.
Okay, so aside from the bargain corner being very popular, the news got out today that you're not closing down, but you're reducing your footprint, moving to a new location, and sticking to your like you explained, playfields, plastics, and back glasses. How's the response been on the news that you're sort of downsizing?
I think people are just happy that we're still going to be around. Like, this isn't doom and gloom. It's just a big. It's like changing gears on your vehicle. We just have to downshift in order to really have a future, at least under my purview, where going forward, I want to happily take this forward in a way that it will last and be around a long time. So, I do have a retirement coming, just like Mike. We are two different ages, and Mike's hit his retirement now. I still probably have a good 8 to 10 years in me. So that's sort of my vision, and I hope for the best, and the hobby will still sustain this all that time. I don't see why it couldn't under this new format. And that's why we're changing into that, because it was for the sustainability of it that we looked at where the revenue has been and has headed. And it's like, God, if we can move into this model and that size with that amount of people and this amount of product and introduce this amount of new stuff every year, we can ride this train out for the next 8 to 10 years, I think, unless something severely changes in the hobby. But we have to do it. There's no getting around it. We can't stay big and bloated and in this giant business park unit with that was built around a lot of the stuff that we've let go and on that we've already talked about. So I think the vibe, I hope, out there will be positive. I have seen some congratulations to Mike, and we all feel the same way. I mean, Mike will still be around and good buddy and watching us closely and will certainly be helping us out from the sidelines. But he has his own plan with his wife to truly retire and put their feet up and have a new phase for their life as well. So that's very important. And it's just mine is ways away. So my greatest concern is just to keep the ship afloat, prosperity, keep everyone happy, and keep these products alive and available in the hobby. It's just going to be under a different framework, and it won't be as aggressive. So people are going to have some patience, where if something does sell out, and we're going to start allowing, as we said in the press release, what's new here is going to be this cooling off period.
Yeah, do you want to explain
which
that?
Which means that, just to make it clear for everyone, this cooling off period means that, and this is different from the past. Let's say, I'll just take an example. Let's say 8-ball deluxe playfields go sold out. The shelf goes empty. That never used to happen. We either had like 15 or 10 coming behind it quickly, like we saw the last 1 or 2 coming, and we were aggressively chasing that tail. So if it did hit sold out, it was only for a matter of a week or two, because they'd be coming out of clear coat and a fresh batch going right behind it. That's how we worked things. We were aggressively allowing a shelves not to hit sold out. The new way is going to be, we will allow a playfield. We'll keep 8-ball deluxe as the example. We will allow that to hit sold out, and then we're going to allow this cooling off period, meaning 3, 6, maybe 8 months will go by, and then we'll consider a rebatch of another 10 or whatever. And we'll do that very mathematically based on sales rates that we can see in our system. It's easy to dump that kind of data from the website and so on. If 8-ball deluxe sells 5 a year, well then, if that's the rate it was at, we'll consider maybe making a batch of 5 or 7 to put it back in stock, but maybe 6, 8 months later. And then we'll have enough for another year or more, right? So it'll be simple mathematics, very logical, and there'll be these cooling off periods where those who are hunting for an 8-ball deluxe playfield will just have to wait, but they'll come back, and then there'll be another long period before they hit sold out again. So it's just sort of a reduction in aggression, I guess. And we're just going to kind of play it by ear, very logical, and just not overextend ourselves. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
I mean, when looking at demand, I'm guessing you won't be including sales from the current Back to the Basement sale, because I'm looking at 8 Ball Deluxe as you brought it up. It is sold out. It is out of stock, it says on your website at the moment. So, but
Yeah.
presumably it sold quite a large number of those, because the price has come down from $899 to $699. And that stimulated
Yes.
demand and got those people who were on the fence about purchasing one to actually do it. But presumably you can't capture what the demand is at that price. So it's out of
Oh, no,
stock.
the
So
data goes back
there isn't a button
years.
that says,
Yeah, the trends go back
there isn't a
years.
button that says, put me on the list for that and let me know when it's available.
Yes. There's a simple wait list or some. There's a button there, like anyone who's signed in as a CPR site member, they can hit that button and it'll just send them emails that, instantly tell them it's back in stock, and it's auto-generated. The system does it all on its own. So very, very simple to do that. Yeah, they can certainly opt in for a wait list, and they'll be notified.
Right.
So yeah, if 8 Ball Deluxe is sold out now, that means, okay, there's an easy example from the story I just told. That will now go into its cooling period, quote unquote. And let's say, it's February now, it will become a consideration maybe by August, September to have another small rebatch done. And then on it goes. So perfect example.
Right. So maybe a little bit off topic, but obviously you're moving to a smaller facility. You're having this bargain sale with the products that you're offering. But will you also be offering any machinery and stuff like that you use to make all these products that we love so much?
Well, not to the hobby, but locally amongst businesses here in Nova Scotia, yes, we have people kicking the tires on different gear and so on. Some of it's already gone, some of it already is proposed and so on and is available. All the industrial equipment will have homes, and it won't be there for the move. But yeah, that's how we're going to play that, where it just sort of moves out as different businesses around Halifax and throughout the province come truck it away, and it'll live on in a new building with a new purpose, and that's where the equipment's going to go.
Okay. Not like somebody was listening and is thinking like, a T-shirt line. That might be something I'd be interested in producing myself, and they figure like, let's reach out to get some silk screening equipment from you. No point in reaching out, I suppose, because it's all gone already.
The garment stuff.
Well,
no, actually, if you're specifically asking about the garment silk screenings gear, that actually is still in storage now. We're not letting our silk screen press go. No way, no how. The one we've had since the beginning has been a workhorse forever, and we love it. But I guess the carousel and the garment, the curing heater and all that stuff, that's still in storage. We haven't even tried that. I don't know. It's an older tech now because everyone, I guess, just like everything, even garment printing has gone digital. I don't know if you knew that, but websites like teespring.com and so on, if you notice, they have millions of T-shirt designs, but they don't have millions of T-shirts in stock in all 6 sizes. And dozens of colors. They wait for you to place an order on the website.
Yeah.
And if you pick, say, a shirt with a pop bumper on it, and you like the adult XL size in Gildan cotton in the color green, and that's your order, and you pay for it and check out, well, that goes on their manufacturing list that day to take that blank shirt from stock. They just have to stock all the blank shirts and all the sizes and fashions. They grab that shirt, it goes to a digital garment press, and the design comes from their server, goes on it, and they make one shirt. One shirt goes in the package and then shipped to you. So they just wait for orders all day and make them as they come in. That's what garment printing is today. It's, I mean, 99% of it. Look, there's still silk screening around. There's a big garment silk screening business that's been around here for 40 years in Halifax that we're actually good buddies with. And they still have their giant 10-color carousel that can put through, 1,000 shirts an hour. It's incredible to watch it. And there's different schools and things that still get true silk screened uniforms and shirts and stuff like that. It happens, but they have a whole digital division now as well because they have to keep up with the times. That's just the industry.
Right. Okay. So, on a bargain corner related matter, you mentioned you will be adding more items throughout the month of February to the bargain corner. I've experienced not you guys, but with another party where I would place an order and I call them the next day and I'm like, hey, I'd like to add that. And they're like, it already shipped. Will it be possible for people to order an item from the bargain corner and ask you to hold it to see whether they will be adding up so it can all ship in one package? Or is that too complex or too complicated?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would get really complex fast. You're basically discussing what we call layaways, where their order is done, paid for, but they're like, wait, don't ship it yet. Hold on to it. I might add things later. Yeah, we can't. We're just going to have to let this flow naturally. I wish that something that complicated could be executed on kind of a running basis. That would be a utopia. But I think people can understand the logistics of that is just going to be foolishness. If you want something, put in the cart, check out, and that's your order, and that's going to go into packaging and ship out as a unit or your order. And we can't just, I guess, hold on to hundreds of requested orders till something has to go out weeks from now that you may buy or may not. So we just can't. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was just asking for a friend.
It's a good question. Yeah.
And on that site subject, Jonathan's obviously in the Netherlands, I'm in the UK. All these products are available to be shipped worldwide, are they?
Yeah, if people are willing to pay the shipping. I know it's always unfortunate for the overseas folks, whether it's Europe, Australia, New Zealand, all the big pinball places that are overseas. The Americans have it easy. Unfortunately, the UPS shipping rates, even with our huge discount, because all our posted rates are approximately 50% off the counter rates that you would get at, say, a UPS store, and they're still outrageous. So, yeah, if people overseas are kind of considering dipping their toe into taking advantage this month, I would say get some buddies together, maybe do a bulk shipment, because the more you get into the shipment, you don't have to pay for the trip all over again, and it's just kind of per pound or per kilogram. The UPS algorithm's weird, but it calculates the more you pile into it, and it gets, I guess, cheaper per weight the more you put into it. So if you're just going to order one plastic set today, and that's it, it's going to be X amount to ship it to Europe. But if it was a playfield glass, 5 plastic sets, 3 bargain corner items, and the more you bulk into it and take advantage between yourself and maybe a couple friends, then that makes it much more economical, even though the shipping is still outrageous, we think, to get it all done. So that's what I'd advise.
Right. And then just place it all in one order and not 5 different orders and then ask for you.
Exactly, because you're ending up paying shipping all over again because UPS treats it as a fresh shipment and a fresh trip, which it is.
Right. So.
Right. Well, I just wanted to ask one question, which I think you probably already answered, in that it's been a bit of a roller coaster with CPR. You started small, you expanded hugely, expanded your product range and the business, and now you're scaling it back. Do you foresee any possibility that you will be able to grow the business again and maybe expand your premises and bring back some of the highlights of the when CPR was at its peak.
Well, I guess the hobby will dictate that. It's we have to treat it as a business, and we have to think of sustainability and longevity. If there are uptrends, I guess, in that direction, and we see it, I mean, we're going to follow that wave. I mean, we'd be stupid not to. But I don't know. I guess we don't know where it's all going to go. I mean, if you knew futures, I mean, you'd be an investment expert and ride. You'd make very well out for yourself if everyone had that foresight. But I guess we'll just have to see what the hobby behaves like, what the trends do. There's just so much new stuff coming, and especially in the realm of the full machine manufacturers and stuff, it's extremely exciting, right? So who knows? I mean, my eyes will be open. We'll be watching the ground and how the feet pitter patter and walk the path, because we'll want to be right alongside it. So I'm not going to say no. I mean, I guess it'll just have to prove itself and become and materialize itself. I guess we'll just have to see.
Okay. Well, I haven't got any more questions. I don't know if Jonathan has.
No, I think we covered most of the stuff that I had in mind that we would be discussing. I guess all that's left is to point people to the website of Classic Playfield Reproductions, which is classicplayfields.com. And, they can have a look around, and who knows what you might find that you're like, I had no idea that was available. I'll order it right now.
Yes, and keep an eye on the bargain corner, I guess, and other reductions across the whole of the month of February.
So thank you for your time and explanation.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kevin, and we wish you the best with the new Classic Playfield reproductions in your new form and in your new home.
We're looking forward to it.
Okay, thanks very much, Kevin. Plenty of news from Classic Playfield reproductions, and of course, as we said, we wish them the best for the future. Now, other news.
And who knows? There might be an update on that once they're all set.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to keep following the progress of the company. Yeah. We have a little bit of other news. There is a large auction of pinball and other arcade game artwork taking place at Heritage Auctions, which is online. They're based in Texas, actually. But you can bid and you can view the items and bid on them online. There's 140 items in total, including back glasses, cabinets, playfield artwork, concept art, some apparently good prices at the moment. Some of the things in there don't have any bids apparently, and seem to be like $1 currently, or $5, very, very low. But there are lots of extras to be added once you start bidding on any of this stuff. There's a buyer's premium of 25% of the successful bid, or a minimum of $49. So even if you buy something for like $1, it's going to cost you a lot more. And add on to that tax, shipping, which is a minimum of $14.42 domestic. You see, I've been researching this. I worked out in the end, even a $1 item, if you buy it for that, it's going to cost you $70 by the time all these things are added on, and that's just for one item. But you can bundle things together and save on shipping, but that's about it. Everything else is going to be expensive. But there's some interesting items there, and certainly worth having a look. There's some molds in there as well for some of the parts that we've seen. Probably good stuff for Gerard at the Dutch Pinball Museum to acquire.
Yeah. So what I understood is all these items are actually coming from Planetary Pinball Supplies, who are responsible. They basically license the rights to anything Bally Williams related,
and took ownership of a whole bunch of physical assets.
Well, that's the part that I don't understand. If you license something, how can you take ownership? Because a license is for a certain period, and after that, the license expires, and you don't own it anymore, or you can't.
Yeah, but they also bought all the assets from Gene Cunningham, didn't they, as well?
Right, and this is probably stuff that's probably coming
Which
from
came from
there
Williams
and,
in the first Williams factory in the first place, and other companies, of course, as well, Capcom included.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's interesting. From a pinball historian point of view, it's definitely interesting to see some early sketches and so on for artwork for games and
even just
and
concept
so on.
ideas.
Surprisingly, yeah, there's a lot of Bally Williams stuff, but also Data East, Sega items. I believe there's even a playfield sketch for Total Recall prototype, and a Playboy artwork for the Data East version of Playboy. So very interesting, worthwhile to take a look. The link is ha.com. That will that's the main website, and then you just look for pinball stuff, and that will take you to the proper pages. And even if the auction's already ended, still interesting to just take a look at the photos. They have been well documented. I mean, even the molds, I think of each mold, there's at least 3 photos in different angles, so you get to see all angles of such mold, so you know what you're getting into. So
So we look forward to seeing how that pans out. Other news, well, there's only, we mentioned before about Pinball at the Beach is taking place this weekend. St. Pete's in Florida. As I said, I'm going. Jonathan unfortunately can't make it, although he was invited.
4 DJ bookings in 3 days. So yes, I have to make a living.
I think I know where I'd rather be. But
well, you haven't played me. You haven't heard me play.
That's why I said it. Anyway, expect a full report on Pinball News, and of course, I'll be reporting back next month's PINcast. And on that note, we will be back. Jonathan and I will both be back at the start, barring any G-Day bookings, but back at the start of March with our next PINcast, looking back at all the exciting events in the pinball industry throughout this month of February. So until then.
Which include Pinball at the Beach, and of course a new cornerstone revealed by Stern Pinball. So something to look forward to.
Yep. So, yes, or will it? That's the question. Licensor pending approval. Yes. So anyway, until the start of next month, the start of March, when we're back. That's it from me, Martin Ayer of Pinball News.
And me, Jonathan Joosten of Pinball Magazine.
And we hope you have a fabulous February, and look forward to seeing you again at the start of next month for the next edition of the Pinball Industry News PINcast. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.